live yet. We gotta get all of our boogers out of our eyes. Oh shit, we're live.
We are live, pal.
Once again, man, I feel like
Welcome to Monday Night Raw.
do you think that I kind of feel like we do this every week?
It does seem that way. I don't like it.
Fucking weird. You think that we take a week off?
So MJF, he's growing on you, huh?
He's a babyface now, man. And you called it last week, man. You were like, babyface. We're gonna see it eventually. It's gonna happen. And then fucking they pulled the trigger.
I just have my doubts for some reason because MJF is he's an asshole. I mean, he always chooses the dark side, calls himself the devil. I mean, how can the devil himself be a babyface?
But you're right, though. I mean, a lot of people who've been commenting and stuff, they were like, "Oh, they were going to have to do this because they're cheering MJF now."
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a smart business move. I think that you got to capitalize on this kind of shit. I mean, so many times AEW and WWE, like all wrestling companies, drop the ball on a storyline when something's red hot because they had another plan in mind. Maybe this is the time that you pull that trigger. You know,
yeah. And one thing that they should definitely pull the trigger on: CM Punk to the WWE.
That's never going to happen, man. The bad blood that he has with Triple H, he literally shat on the entire McMahon family in his big pipe bomb promo back in the day.
Some people could say that Hulk Hogan even had a fucking really bad relationship with them. He came back.
Yeah, I mean, Bret Hart, Ultimate Warrior. I mean, you
Bret
name it.
Fucking Hart, perfect example.
Can't believe he came back. That was amazing. I mean, yeah, literally everyone's. The only person that didn't come back was Macho Man.
But he was so close though, because if you remember, he was in the commercial for the video game that year.
Yeah,
I think
that is true. Yeah, so there was maybe some. Do you believe that story about him and Stephanie? That
100%.
100%. So that's why he was on the outs for a while, because Vince was like, "Fuck that motherfucker."
And I heard that she was underage. Yeah.
Oh well, then that's a huge issue. No wonder they'd want to keep that under wraps if that was the case. I mean, not that you should keep that under wraps, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's a big
CM Punk literally said to Triple H, "I don't need you. I don't need to wrestle you. You need to wrestle me." Like CM Punk, I think, needs to level it down a couple notches, and and that's coming from a CM Punk fan. I love CM Punk. His ego.
I think they should humble him, old school style. Put him in the ring with a shooter. Brock Lesnar. Have Brock Lesnar legitimately beat the fuck out of him one night.
But he wouldn't be able to play those games in WWE. He wouldn't be able to play I'm the top dog and fuck all you. Like that shit won't work in the WWE locker room. The tribal chief won't put up with that.
He could try, but he'd be on his way right back the fuck out. I mean, in AEW, man, a whole year. He made it a whole year. No problems till the end.
Yeah. But man, we are past time. We didn't have much time for a pre-show today. That was my bad. But hopefully in the after show, we can get back to talking some more wrestling because I have more to ask you. But we should get on with the show, right?
Yeah, Mike, if you wanted to run that intro, we will hop right in. Welcome in, one and all, Travis DuFour Show, Episode 7, Season 2. We are here. And without further ado, my co-host, Mike Yatsco.
Dig it, daddy!
And we are on yet another roller coaster. You never know what you're going to get with the Travis DuFour Show. We were thinking about what we wanted to do tonight's episode on. It's the last week of October as of recording this for the show. So not going with something exactly spooky, but deaths. We're going to go with that.
No, death is pretty spooky to me.
Yeah.
It gives me the spooks.
Of all the wrestlers who have died, do you think that some of them are still roaming the earth?
Some most definitely probably, have that kind of was like, anyway, there's definitely a chance that they have unfinished business here on Earth in the Roman, maybe an unfinished feud with somebody.
Do you think that they're roaming where they died, or they're roaming anywhere?
So I don't think spirits are held to. I don't know. That's a tough one. That can go either way. I personally don't think spirits are held to a specific location, but I could see also somebody's argument for saying, they are. So I'm in between, I guess.
I would say that they are. They are designated to one spot wherever they died. If it was traumatic,
Like a prison type thing. It's their eternal
it could be
prison.
considered. Definitely considered. I'm a kind of a spiritual guy. I've thought about this a lot. I think that if you die in a really fucked up way, I think that you're stuck there. For how long? Maybe until your spirit finds peace.
Maybe eternity.
Maybe
Depends on how bad it is. I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer. I was watching the new Netflix series. Did you catch that? The Jeffrey
No.
Dahmer series? Oh, man. If you have Netflix, or even if you just want to subscribe for 1 month, the Jeffrey Dahmer series is quite good. It's a multi-episode show. Yeah, pretty well done. But yeah, someone like Jeffrey Dahmer, maybe his spirit would have to linger for all eternity because of how heinous the crimes were.
And he was killed in prison.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, somebody beat the shit out of him. I don't know the exact details, but he was killed.
That's a hell of a place to roam for a long period of time till you find your peace.
Yeah, that would be quite awful.
So, starting off the show, we are doing a top 10. Mike Yatsco, I would like you to go first with your number 10, and we'll just kind of kick it off with Mike. We both put a lot of time and effort into our list. A lot of thought went into this. So,
and we both haven't shared each other's lists. We have no idea what the other one is going to say, and no idea of what order or anything.
And I thought about doing special graphics and stuff like that for the live show, but in order to keep it a secret between me and you, to kind of have that fun element,
one of us would have to know the entire lists for that to work, so that would have spoiled it.
Yeah, but no worries, Mike. You can have the floor. Who is your number 10? If you want to say a couple things, go ahead.
Yeah, well, first I'll say that I think that in general, wrestling deaths have kind of they don't seem like there are as many in recent years. It seems like it's improved. Would you say?
Yeah, so I think so. Maybe are we just not paying attention, or?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's not true at all. Maybe there's just as many, but it seemed like there was so many like back to back, like in the 2000s and the 1990s. But anyway, my number 10, I don't know if this will surprise you or not, but it would be the Ugandan giant Umaga, as William Reed would say, or as normal people would say, Umaga.
I thought that they called the Ugandan giant Kamala.
Jesus Christ. Well, you just blew my spot, kid. No.
So who is it, Kamala or Umaga? Because they're both dead.
No, it is definitely Umaga. Wait, what's Umaga's? He's something. He's got the Samoan bulldozer. Fuck, that's not even close to the Ugandan giant. totally different.
Oh my God. What a way to start.
Okay, I swear I'm a fan of Umaga. I swear. I just completely got the two nicknames switched up. Okay, the Samoan bulldozer Umaga is my number 10. And I don't know if that's a surprising one for you or not. Are you surprised to see that on my list?
Yeah, he's not on my list. I definitely very underrated. I think that he definitely should have had a WWE title reign at some point. Was he Intercontinental Champion?
He was Intercontinental Champion. He was also in the WWE title mix once or twice. I don't know if there was an Elimination Chamber or if it was one-on-one. I forget, but yeah, he never won the big one. And he got released. I remember being very surprised when he got released, and was really hoping one day he would come back. I think they wanted him to lose weight. I don't know what the real issue was backstage, but I was hoping he'd come back one day. And then suddenly I just see, the graphic at the beginning of Monday Night Raw, Umaga has passed away. And that was crazy to me. I remember that being pretty shocking because I really liked that dude. That was one of the new stars they created in the 2000s where I was like really behind as a kid. Like I was like, oh, he's got a cool look. I mean, he's got some cool moves. Even though some people thought it was stupid, I actually love that thumb. He like thumbs him to the throat or something. I actually
The Samoan spike.
the Samoan spike. Yeah, I actually really liked Umaga. So yeah, definitely number 10. He's got my number 10.
I couldn't agree more, man. Very good pick. I think that the Samoan family has so many greats, you know,
Oh,
Yokozuna, The Rock, you name it. But
wasn't Umaga
yeah,
related to The Rock? That same family? Is that
who?
what you're saying? The Umaga, he was actually in that
Yeah,
family, like The Rock.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, the Samoan, yeah, family's
I
huge.
especially whenever Eric Bischoff introduced the 3-minute warning,
Oh yeah, man.
I love that story, that gimmick.
Isn't Rosie and Jamal? Are they both gone?
Both of them, man.
Wow, that's crazy. That's
Do
crazy
you
to
have
think.
how Umaga died?
No, I actually didn't. That would have been a good one to put. I don't remember. I want to say it was a heart attack, but that could be wrong. So don't quote me on that.
Okay, no worries. For my list, I did write down how each one died, but that's okay.
You overachieving son of a bitch.
Well, it is my show. So, okay. So you ready for my number 10?
Yeah, for sure.
You just called this man well, you're number 10. You called him the Ugandan giant. He's a real giant, Andre the Giant.
Whoa, Andre the Giant. Yeah, Andre did not. He did not make my list, and I really thought about putting him on. I really did, but yeah, he didn't make it on. But tell me why.
Andre, dude, I mean, he had hands the size of frying pans.
Oh
He
yeah,
was a really, in my opinion, the first real like major attraction. A lot of
yeah.
people can argue, no, it was Hulk Hogan, yada yada yada. But I mean, Andre the Giant sold it, man. He was just so impressive. If that's a man you see in the bar, if you see him walking down the street, that him being involved in professional wrestling, a major force in professional wrestling, gave credibility to pro wrestling. It, you know, and back in those days, everything it needed to look like a shoot. This had to look as real as possible. We had to suspend the disbelief, and Andre the Giant personified that.
I remember. So I wasn't a fan of wrestling then, because he was done like way after I was. I was just a baby or whatever. Saw it when he was finishing up. What year did he die again? What year did you say?
Sure, he died January 28th, 1993.
1993. So yeah, I would have been 3 years old when he died. So, um, I'll say that I was fascinated with reading stories about Andre the Giant. Anything I could soak up. I just loved hearing other wrestlers talk about their interactions with him. I remember the big deal. I don't know if it was like what was that controversy show they used to do that we just talked about it last week?
Yeah,
Confidential.
confidential. Yeah.
I don't know if it was Confidential or one of the documentaries they did, but they were talking about how Andre the Giant or, Hulk Hogan didn't even know if Andre would put him over for real at WrestleMania. I still don't know if that's true, like if that's actual real or if that they just built that up for the story. Either way, like it's fascinated me. So it's done its job because I've always wondered, oh, is that true? Did Andre really go to the ring, not knowing if he'd put him over or not?
Well, let me go ahead and myth bust it for you. As of a couple weeks before the match, Andre had agreed with Hogan to drop the belt. That was a
Okay, so
complete,
that
you know,
so that was just kind of like fluff added to the story over the years
yeah.
to make it. But still, hey, it did its job though. It always had me interested. Like, oh, was Andre like that? Like, if you fucked with him in any way, that he'd be like, no, bro, I'm going over. Like, I don't know. Oh, but
And
I
there
was
was,
also go ahead, yeah.
well, and there was so many stories around that time, like guys like Ultimate Warrior, they were getting legitimately beat the fuck up by Andre. Like if you were kind of looked at kind of like somebody who needed to pay their dues or somebody that Andre didn't exactly like, he legit like beat the fuck out of you, and you could not do anything to that man.
Oh no, yeah, that guy. If that guy chose to pick a fight with you, you just better just stand there and take it. I wouldn't try fighting back. I was also always fascinated with the stories about how much food he would eat and
Mhm.
how much alcohol he would consume. Like apparently it was just a crazy amount, like compared to what you or me could handle.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was always fascinated with that. And they would describe these meals that they would get and that he would order and stuff like that. Just plates and plates of food. Fascinating life, but also a challenging life. Like traveling town to town with his size, that would have been, what car would have fit him for real? For the most part, most rental cars wouldn't. Very tight spaces on planes, so probably not a glamorous life.
And that was another myth too. A lot of people said that in Andre the Giant's home, like he had supersized everything. Not true. He had like a bigger sized bed, some custom chairs, but that's really it. Everything else in his house was like a normal. It was like a normal house.
So it wasn't like how the house wouldn't say, "Wow, this person's done really well for themselves necessarily." It was just like a normal.
Oh, I'm sure he had tons of shit. One of the things in my research, though, that I thought was interesting is that he couldn't go to the store. He was very recognizable and stuff like that. So on his days at home,
Yeah, how
he
would you
would
disguise
spend
yourself when you're that tall?
right. How would you? He would spend a lot of time watching QVC, and he would order stuff from home a lot.
And if you don't mind, I just want to follow up on the Umaga thing because you had asked me how he died, and I just did not have that information. But it was December 4th, 2009, which was actually later than I thought it was. But apparently, he was found by his wife in their Houston, Texas home, unresponsive, with blood coming from his nose. 911 call was made. He was rushed to the hospital, but they determined that he was suffering a heart attack, and they were able to restart his heart. But unfortunately, he showed no signs of brain activity. So he was kept on life support for a couple days or something like that, and then later suffered a second heart attack, where he was, and that's when he was pronounced dead at that point.
Natural causes, huh?
Natural causes, but the toxology reports actually revealed that he had drugs in his system. So
That's what I thought.
yeah, so painkillers, Soma, Valium. So it seems like that combination might have been. Plus his overall health, I'm sure contributed as well.
So that is how Umaga died. Andre the Giant he died in his sleep, congestive heart failure in Paris, France, in a hotel. Died 46.
46. Yeah, he had that giantism or whatever that disease is called, where you just don't stop growing.
Yeah, I guess it's like a extra boost of hormones over an extended period of time as a child, teenager, what have you. And man, he made some money off that shit, didn't he?
Yeah. Do you think he was he pretty big when he died? Do you know what he looked like at that time?
He had gained a lot of weight. Like he was at an unhealthy weight. He was huge.
Do you think that played a factor in his death then? Like if he had maybe gotten in better shape, was thinner,
A
be
lot of people need to
different?
remember too. At WrestleMania 3, whenever he lost to Hogan, he was in bad health at that time as well, and he was having terrible back issues, and that was a big part of the reason why he was going to be stepping away from the active scene and giving the ball to Hogan to run with.
Yeah. Yeah, Andre the Giant. I would have been a fan of Andre the Giant if I was a kid and I was a fan at that point.
Are
He
you
would
a
have been a
Big
guy I
Show
would root
guy?
for. Less so. I mean, I always liked Big Show. I liked his early years when he was like feuding with Brock Lesnar, and he had just come back from like a hiatus because I guess they'd asked him to lose weight or something like that, and he came back to SmackDown. Yeah, challenged Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. That's like peak Big Show for me.
Yeah, he had that cop mustache. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when they
So
years later though, when it got to the point where Big Show was doing the I'm a face one week, heel next week, and going back and forth, and it just was you never knew what the guy was. It was just he changed every week. That was when he was kind of like, I hate to say because I love Big Show, but kind of annoying.
during any era at any stage, I was never a Big Show guy.
Really, not any WCW even when he was who was he? Just Paul White then?
He was the Giant.
The Giants.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
thanks.
didn't he come in? Didn't they like advertise him as being like Andre's son?
I think that they did, or that might have been just a rumor, like something that we look back on that never happened, that we think happened, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But once again, I wasn't a WCW guy either, so I don't really know.
Gotcha. Yeah, but good pick for number 10 for sure.
Oh, thank you so much, Mike. Number 9?
Number 9. Number 9, I went with Andrew Test Martin.
Oh, nice.
I loved his theme song. I don't know the test. I don't know. I
Dun,
always
dun, 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 dun.
yeah. I loved his ECW run because I felt like they really treated him like a bigger star then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if he was. Did he win the ECW championship? I forget.
I don't think so.
Oh, he should have been. But like I remember he was like jacked. I mean, this dude was jacked. Very good physique, but I think that's actually what contributed to his death was, the drug use, the steroid use. Unfortunately.
I will tell you right now, whenever Test had that feud with Triple H over Stephanie McMahon, and then Triple H drugged up Stephanie and took her to Vegas and married her and all that, that was during a feud with Test. I said it back then, and I'm going to say it on the Travis DuFour Show right now on the record. If Test would have came out on top of that feud, he could have been a fucking star, but he didn't.
I always saw big star potential with Test, and I thought for sure he'd be world champion. He was like one of the guys when I was a fan then where I just saw that like the sky was the limit for the dude. Like he had money written on him. To me, I guess other people didn't think that.
I think that the long hair really was what sold him for me. Just the whole package. He had the silver pants he would wear and all that. But once he cut his hair, and then they put him with Stacy Keibler. He had that feud with Scott Steiner, and
I actually enjoyed that. I don't know if you did.
Oh,
or
did
not.
you?
I'd kind of enjoy. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, but it wasn't your cup of tea.
Well, I just thought Scott Steiner should have been in the title picture and involved with maybe a more major star. Test had already kind of fallen off since, around that point. He had just been a part of the Un-Americans before this. I mean, he wasn't anything to talk about. So putting Scott Steiner with him, I don't know. I felt like they were wasting Steiner.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they definitely had moved Scott Steiner down to the mid card for sure. And I don't know if that was Triple H's doing or what. I guess Scott also had some health issues at the time. Lingering injuries, rather.
Yeah, he definitely didn't move like he used to.
But as far as I do have the rundown on what happened with Test, he was found dead in his Tampa, Florida apartment, March 13th, 2009. And this was 4 days prior to what would have been his 34th birthday. Goddamn, 34, dude. He was just 33 when he died. That is way too young.
I'm 34.
Wow. That's not really put it in perspective. Like, he died so young.
Man, I feel like I've lived forever, though. Maybe he felt like he lived forever.
Yeah, I don't know. Police were contacted after a neighbor reportedly realized Martin had been motionless on his couch for some time, seeing him through a window outside of his apartment. And
somebody was peeping Tom and Test.
They had to have been. But you had also been looking a lot, like just like glancing over every so often. Like, how many times do you have to look to see if somebody's dead? You have to be looking pretty good.
Fuck, that's a long nap.
What if they're just I was about to say, what if they're just taking a nap?
Oh, hey, they might have been a huge wrestling fan. Like, oh shit, that's fucking Test from the Attitude Era.
Yeah, but yeah. So authorities retrieved Martin's body after scaling his balcony and confirming that he was indeed dead. Toxicology reports revealed that Martin's death was caused by an accidental overdose of prescription pain medication, oxycodone. And it was also reported in August 2008 that he had entered a drug and alcohol rehab program, which WWE, I guess, helped pay for.
Terrible. I know he's before he came to the WWF, he was the bodyguard for, I believe, Motley Crue. So, he was running around with a fucking rock and roll band with that partying lifestyle. You go from that partying lifestyle to the fucking WWF, which most of those guys are hardcore into partying. Yeah, bad mix for him.
Yeah, for sure. And it was actually later determined by forensics that he had a brain condition that was caused by repeated concussions. So he had suffered, I guess he had similar symptoms to that of like Chris Benoit, like what Chris Benoit was experiencing. Severe headaches, mood swings, depression, and aggressive behavior. So he could have been dealing with CTE.
Yeah, I know as a teenager, my favorite diva was Stacy Keibler. I know that Andrew Martin was with Stacy Keibler in real life there for a little while.
Oh, they actually dated for real.
Yeah, real life.
Yeah, that's
George Clooney as well.
That's like top of Hollywood. You're at the top of the food chain.
Whenever I
pretty much
heard about that, for Stacy Keibler engaged to George Clooney, I was like, good on you, George. Like, you, good man.
Was George ever a wrestling fan, you think?
Oh, he probably thought that he was like, this shit's faker than half of my movies I make. Like, she's got legs, so
she does have legs. She knows how to move them.
She's got legs. Yeah.
She knows how to move them.
So that one was for you, Test. Rest in peace.
Yeah. And I actually like the Un-Americans, though. I'm going to say it right now. I actually liked it.
You've said that on the show before.
You know what I liked about it? Actually, I didn't like the Un-Americans so much as I love the moment they created where they were about to burn the American flag. They had the torch going, and then pyro, the flames go off on the stage. Kane comes back from his injury, and, he's revamped or whatever. That's gotta be Kane. That's not from that.
It's the most patriotic guy on the roster, Kane.
But he honestly he was like the big USA monster at that point. But yeah, he got in the ring, dispatched of all of them. I thought that was a really cool moment. That's a moment I think fondly of.
All right. Well,
yeah, Test was cool, man. I'm sorry he passed, but that was my number 9. Were you surprised to see him on my list?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I felt he felt right though. He definitely popped in my head right away.
No,
what
definitely. I love giving these guys their flowers because, Test is probably never going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's never going to get that recognition. And for us to kind of sit here on the podcast and kind of talk about our favorite moments from these guys, obviously we're going to see major stars on the list, obviously. But guys like Umaga, Test, like it's cool to give them their flowers, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're number 9.
Yes, my number 9. Hopefully this may come as a surprise to you. This is before your time, but a major star, Kerry Von Erich.
Kerry Von Erich. Yeah, that definitely is before my time, but I've read a lot about the Von Erichs. Tragic family history, apparently.
Whenever I was a child, we went to the VHS store. Not the VHS store, the fucking video rental store. And it was before the great blizzard of 1994. And we got the Survivor Series like 91, and we got SummerSlam 90. 2 VHS tapes, classic pay-per-views. And on the SummerSlam VHS tape, Mr. Perfect defended the Intercontinental title against the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich. And it was a phenomenal match. Kerry ended up winning the Intercontinental title on this pay-per-view. Big celebration, which intrigued me to kind of, as I got older, look into Kerry's career. And one of the major things that Kerry Von Erich did, one of his brothers died. It was a lot of people were saying it was the most talented of the Von Erichs at the time, had passed away. And at the memorial show for his brother, he defeated Ric Flair for the NWA title in front of 45,000 fans. And this was a very big moment in wrestling. It was in the mid 80s, and Kerry just seemed like he was going to be fucking put on a rocket and launched to the moon. He had the looks, he had the wrestling ability, he had the fan base. The girls would go fucking nuts about him. The guys wanted to be just like him. He had it all. He fucking had it all. But on June 4th, 1986, that's whenever he was in a motorcycle accident and lost his foot.
Oh, he lost his foot?
Lost his
I
foot,
thought,
man.
I thought you said he was gonna. That you said, and he died.
No, not just yet. Not just yet. It'll be a little less than 10 years later that he'd end up passing. But the crazy thing is that, this accident happened in 1986. He lost his fucking foot. From that point forward, he wrestled with a prosthetic foot.
I didn't. I've never seen a match with him wrestling with a prosthetic. I'll have to.
Exactly. And the 1990 pay-per-view where he wrestled Mr. Perfect, he's got a fucking prosthetic foot on, and you
Are you
can't
just messing with me?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought this was one of those moments where you're just like, "Hi, I'm trying to get him to believe some shit that's not real."
Nope. And see, and that's one of the things that a lot of people say about Kerry Von Erich is that he went so far
It's pretty crazy.
To hide his, because he didn't want anybody to know. He would shower with his fake boot on, with both of his boots, so you had no clue he was missing his fucking foot. He was that dedicated and that self-conscious about his foot being gone.
That's crazy. Yeah, so the Von Erichs in general were pretty hot around this time, right?
They
Like the
fucking
family
owned Texas, man.
Now, were they big? So were they just big in Texas, or did they also travel to other territories? And my other question would be, was there ever like a WWF at that time potential for any of the Von Erichs?
Right. Well, around that time was whenever they were fucking killing it and all that. That was around the same time Vince McMahon Jr. Took over the WWF, started going to each territory, taking, oh, I'll take this guy. Oh, I'll take these couple guys, taking the best talent in the area. And he eventually got Kerry. But it's well documented that all of the Von Erich kids had their demons. They liked their partying, they liked their drugs. Kerry was no different. Kerry had a lot of demons. He loved prescription pills, he loved to drink. He was all about that partying lifestyle. I mean, he was a fucking star in Texas. He could go anywhere in Texas. Free meal, free booze, whatever. He's the fucking guy. And, whenever that accident happened, he kind of felt like he was going to lose all that.
Yeah, I imagine that's pretty scary. Everything you've worked for your whole life.
Mm-hmm. And I believe he had already had one of his brothers had committed suicide at this point. His oldest, the most talented brother, the name is escaping me. I'm not the biggest Von Erich guy. I fucking love Kerry though. The brother that was the most talented, he went to Japan. He ended up overdosing in Japan and died. And that really affected all of the brothers because they thought that guy was going to be like WWF champion one day. He was going to be the fucking star. So Kerry felt more motivated and felt like it was his job to make the Von Erichs proud, take that name, that family name, and become a fucking huge star like his brother was going to be. And so let's just get straight to it. On February 18th, 1993, he showed up at his dad's ranch, spoke to his dad, not very much, said he was going up to the ranch and he would be back. And he ended up going pretty far away from the house and, shot himself in the chest.
Jeez. Yeah, the Von Erichs have, not so glorious past, that's for sure. I tell you what, though, the way you were talking about Kerry Von Erich, I've never actually seen a match of his, but you've really intrigued me to go back and watch some of that stuff and see what he's all about. Because I know vaguely about the Von Erich history and how they were a big deal in wrestling. I know that much, but I don't know the specifics. I've never seen a match, so I'd love to do that.
I think you really find that intriguing, man, because there was they had the Sportatorium in Texas and it was the venue in Texas for years. And they would sell it out. This family would sell it out. And just their story, if you just go on YouTube and search Von Erich documentary, there is a lot of really good stuff out there.
Yeah. I'll have to check it out for sure.
So, Mike, you're number 8?
Number 8 is a member of Crime Time, Shad Gaspard.
Okay, phenomenal. Good
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah.
That's another
You
one that's
seem
not on my list.
surprised. Yeah. You seem surprised.
What I mean, it's just how long ago did he die? You know, he was trying to save his son, which oh man, inspirational
Yeah.
story there.
Yeah, he ended up winning the Warrior Award at the WWE Hall of Fame, I think a year or two ago. His wife accepted on his behalf. But yeah, he was just trying to rescue his son. I guess they were going out on a boating trip or something like that. They were out in the ocean. And yeah, he saved his son. Like apparently he was okay at one point and he went to save his son. They could only take his son, I guess, at the time, the rescuers. So he gave him his son. Son's okay. But he ended up drowning. He ended up getting lost lost in the ocean. I think they did recover his body eventually, but it wasn't for more than a day later.
There is nothing that scares me more than being lost in the ocean.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. Pretty selfless though. I mean, you basically have an opportunity to live, and I'm sure he didn't know that he would die because the ocean is unpredictable. But he hands off his son, make sure his son is okay, not caring about what happens to himself. I just think that that's pretty, to say the least, admirable.
Have you ever been taken down by a wave in the ocean?
I've never been out far into the ocean except by boat, but I mean, I've swam in the ocean, close to shore, but that's not quite the same. But even being right there on the beach, oh yeah, the waves are very powerful. I can't imagine what they're like further out.
Mm-hmm. I've only been to the ocean one time, but I went out just past waist. So the water was just above my waist, and a
Yeah.
nice size wave took me, and it fucking took me and made my body do a spiral in the water like I had no control. It slammed me off of the sand on the bottom, and
Wow.
man, that was enough for me. I've never been in the ocean since.
Yeah, yeah, you're at the mercy of the ocean when you're there. That the power of those currents and the waves, it's just you're not going to be able to fight it. So yeah, I definitely have. That's why I don't. Well, I'm willing to go to the ocean. I'm willing to be waist high. Maybe a little further, but I don't like to mess with it. I'm also really terrified of like getting eaten by a shark. I mean, there's fucking sharks out there. Why would you want to go swimming in the ocean? I mean, lots of people do it, but I don't know.
I'm
There's
more scared of the
jellyfish out there,
jellyfish.
sharks. Yeah, I just mentioned. Yeah, jellyfish, jellyfish. Yeah, you get stung by that and you're dead. Well, it depends how big it is, I guess.
Yeah, and I know he's not a wrestler, but Steve Irwin, man, fucking
Yeah,
Stingray could come out of nowhere.
yeah, yeah, Steve Irwin. That was actually pretty shocking. If this was just a general death, he'd probably be on my top 10. Like not if it wasn't just wrestlers.
We might have an idea for a future episode.
Yeah. Every episode will just be about death. Top 10 deaths.
From this
Top
point
10
forward.
deaths in music. Top 10 deaths in restaurants. I don't know.
Top 10 projects that we've had that died. Number 1, Burnout Media. We'll talk about it now.
Too soon. Too soon.
Jeez.
But yeah, so Shad Gaspard ended up being found. I guess his body was washed ashore in Venice Beach and was later identified by a coroner's office. He was 39 years old.
39.
And this was May 2020 that this happened. So right as the pandemic hit, this happened. And from what I heard, apparently this guy was a really nice guy, great father, great husband. So it's just very unfortunate. Lots of friends say, how good of a guy he is. And not just that, going back to his wrestling days, I loved Crime Time. I loved when Crime Time it was only brief, but they teamed with like John Cena for a short period.
I mean,
I think they even had a faction name. I forget what it was called.
Yeah, that's escaping me. But I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, Mike. I didn't fucking like Crime Time.
Hey, that's okay. You don't have to like Crime Time just because they're on my list.
I just thought it was too easy. It was too Saturday morning cartoon for me.
I don't know. I just love their energy. Like I mean, I get it. There's problems with the gimmick and all that, but at the end of the day, I liked the creativity. I like both of the guys on the mic. I thought JTG was especially good on the mic. I don't know. I just like their shenanigans that they'd pull.
I like
It's
to
all
see
about
what
that money. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty catchy. That was pretty catchy. And I think that it's cool that JTG is still around. He wrestles on NWA Power.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. NWA Power, I'm sorry, it bores me.
Well,
I don't know if that's a hot
um,
take or not, but it bores me.
I mean, it's got that old school feel, man. And that
It
old school
definitely
feel,
does. And maybe that's why I'm just not into it.
they blur the lines between old school and boring. That's what, yeah. That's what
Oh, the line is for sure blurred.
So you ready for number 8?
Yeah. Throw it, lay it on me, daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 8, Tough Enough Season 2 winner, Matt Cappotelli.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's a guy that's not on my list. Our lists are very different. I'm liking that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we haven't had the same on either of ours so far.
Yeah. I
The
imagine that's going to change as
Ugandan
we get closer to
Giant
the top 5.
Umaga? Not on mine.
I can't believe I got those guys mixed up. I'm so
That was
sorry.
so funny.
I hope that didn't offend anybody. But that's so terrible. I don't know how I got that mixed up with the Samoan fucking bulldozer. But anyway,
We still have a file of the Ugandan giant Kamala. I interviewed him for Mike's radio station years ago. I think we still have it, so maybe we could do like an old school throwback, upload it in a video kind of thing.
that would be cool. Yeah, we have surprisingly so few interviews from that we actually did. We interviewed DDP, Candice Michelle. There's
We
all
don't have
kinds of
either of
guests.
those.
Yeah, we don't have either. Yeah, those are I would have loved to have had those, especially the Candice Michelle one. But
But
yeah,
Matt Cappotelli, man, he
yeah, Matt
was
Cappotelli.
known. One of the big things that people remember him for is that, on Tough Enough Season 2 on MTV, he was known for getting beat the fuck up by Hardcore Holly. Hardcore Holly came in as a guest trainer, and he targeted Matt Cappotelli. He said, these guys are goofing off, laughing and shit in the corner, and I take this business serious, so I wanted to prove a point to these kids, and he beat the fuck out of them.
So this is the guy that had a really tough break injury wise, right? He ended up being wheelchair bound.
Well, I believe it was brain cancer. It was a brain tumor.
Brain tumor. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that's initially what happened. He was in OVW. He won the fucking thing. He spent about a year in OVW, won the OVW championship, and he was moments away from being called up to the main roster. I think he's even said it in an interview. It was only a couple weeks before he was supposed to debut on Monday Night Raw. And that's whenever he got diagnosed with the cancer the first go around.
Oh, man. That is so awful. That's
But
so
he beat it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he was out of wrestling. He didn't wrestle again, right?
I don't believe he wrestled again after this. He got hired again as a trainer for the beginner classes. But yeah, he never had a match again. He was diagnosed again with another brain tumor about 2017. Jeez. But him and his wife sat down and they both agreed that the first go around with cancer was fucking terrible. And he didn't take any treatments or anything like that. He just decided that this is it for me then.
Jesus, that's crazy. I remember hearing a lot of hype surrounding the name Matt Cappotelli. Back when you said he was in OVW, won the title. I remember there being a lot of hype, a lot of buzz for this young star, up and coming guy that's going to be, I remember hearing rumors that he might be called up to the main roster. Man, that's so sad to have the rug pulled out from underneath you when you have your whole life ahead of you that you think you have ahead of you, a whole career. And life is so fragile.
Good looking kid too, man. He could have made some money.
Yeah. You think he had the big star? Did he have the it factor? Do you know?
Oh, I definitely think he could have made waves in the mid card, maybe busted out into the main event, but I think he would have been just fine on the main roster.
Yeah.
Trivia question: who else won with Matt Cappotelli that year?
Was that Miz?
Nope.
Was it a woman?
No.
Oh, then I'm out of guesses.
John Morrison.
Oh, John Morrison. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a guy who's still around to this day.
Yeah. Tough Enough actually. And yeah, The Miz was one of them. I don't know if The Miz actually won.
I think
Did
he
he win?
did, didn't he?
Did he? Okay. Yeah, he might have. Yeah. But Tough Enough has actually brought us some stars.
Yeah, yeah. I really wish that Maven would have had a better run. I mean, he
I
eliminated the
loved
Undertaker
Maven.
at the Royal Rumble, and that was amazing.
I was so ready for Maven to break out and do bigger things, but he kind of just fizzled out pretty quick.
Yeah, and hey guys, and don't forget about Nydia. Nydia was a great manager for Jamie Noble. She played a good redneck woman.
She really did. Jamie Noble, boy.
Jamie Noble, boy. Yeah.
I remember actually being disgusted by Nydia back in the day. I thought she was very trashy. Like
Didn't like her nose, did you?
her character, no, not her as a person, just her as the character.
Okay.
Not
No,
speaking on
yes,
it.
she did a good character.
Yeah, she was very good at playing the part. She looked like a trashy person for sure.
She did. Yeah. So okay, so that's enough on Matt Capitelli. Number 7.
Number 7 is a guy who I didn't actually get to see since he was already dead by the time I was born, I believe. I'll have to check on the year here in a second. But Bruiser Brody.
Bruiser Brody, good
Bruiser
pick.
Brody, yeah. Yeah, he died 2 years. Yeah, 2 years before I was born, he died. So I obviously wasn't a fan while he was around because we weren't around on the same timeline. But I was always fascinated with Bruiser Brody and hearing the stories and I was fascinated mostly with his like the murder mystery of like how it all happened. I've always been researching that for years. Anything I can dig up on that. But when I go back, I've also watched some of his matches, his promos, and I'm just like, I wish that dude was able to keep going and was able to have a longer career because he's fascinating, man. I love Bruiser Brody.
As an independent wrestler too, I've come across a lot of like older guys who've been in the business longer than me. And if you ask a lot of the older guys, I'm like, oh, how'd you get in the business? And fucking 9 times out of 10, you'll hear these guys say, oh, Bruiser Brody, man. Bruiser Brody was the shit. He made this stuff look legit. He was a real bruiser,
Yeah.
And one of the things too, a local independent wrestler, he would always say, Huss, 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 whenever he was wrestling. Apparently that's what Bruiser Brody would do.
Oh, interesting. Very cool.
So, yeah, yes. I mean, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know I've seen a bunch of Bruiser Brody matches and stuff like that. But like Mike, the death of Bruiser Brody, very intriguing. I mean, the promoter,
so much drama surrounding it and so much cover up.
Yeah, I guess the promoter got one of his henchmen to kind of do him in. Tony Atlas was there.
Allegedly.
It was stabbing, wasn't it?
Because nobody's ever, stabbing, but nobody's ever actually been charged for this murder.
That is fucked up. Puerto Rico is fucked up.
Tony Atlas, man. I remember they did a Dark Side of the Ring episode on this, Bruiser Brody, and very fascinating. And I got to hear from Tony Atlas. He was interviewed for that series, and hearing his take on it, like Brody was basically dying in his arms. Like that was it was incredible. Like not incredible in a good way. I'm just saying beyond fascinating, right. Beyond crazy, the whole story, how it all played out.
Yeah, and one of the things I like about Tony Atlas too, I was just on a show with Tony Atlas just a couple months ago, and that guy is such a fucking nice guy.
He seems like a really nice guy. Yeah.
For some reason, though, he loves women who will just stand on him, stand on his face with their bare feet.
Well, I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat, I guess, right?
Did you know that about him?
I have heard some weird things about feet and Tony Atlas. Yes.
Yeah, he I think he asked a female fan, maybe he was like, "Hey, can I see your feet?" And they said no.
Hey, some people just like feet. I mean, what? We all like different things.
Shout out Tony Atlas. I know he listens to the show.
I know he listens. I doubt. I seriously doubt. I seriously doubt that. But that's a nice. It's a nice
for
thought.
Talking about your personal business,
but back to Bruiser Brody for a second. I want to say that on July 16th, 1988, is when he actually died. And Brody was in the locker room, and as you said, somebody came up and he was actually stabbed. I guess somebody called him into the shower or something like that. Ended up stabbing him a couple times. Tony Atlas ran to the shower and saw Brody bent over and holding his stomach. Atlas then looked up at Gonzalez and saw him holding a knife. Yeah, that's Jose Gonzalez.
And hearing Tony Atlas talk about like the noise he heard him make is haunting.
Jesus,
yeah.
Due to the design of the dressing room, there were no witnesses to the actual altercation, so nobody apparently saw Bruiser getting stabbed.
Yeah, perfect way to fucking murder someone. No witnesses.
Due to the heavy traffic outdoors. Okay, see when the paramedics arrived.
Carlos Colon was involved in that, huh? He was the one who set it up.
Yeah. He later died from his stab wounds. Gonzalez claimed self-defense and testified in his own defense. He was acquitted of murder in 1989. Oh, I guess there was a trial, but he was acquitted.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I'll have to make it a point to watch a couple Bruiser Brody matches now that we've talked about them. Kind of.
Yeah, and I don't want to act like I'm some Bruiser Brody match expert either. I've only seen a few matches and more promos than matches, but yeah, just fascinating dude. I just would have loved for him to have stuck around longer and have a longer career. He's 42 years old when he died.
42? Christ.
Yeah, it's still pretty. It's very young.
Yeah. I mean, guys, this is deaths in pro wrestling that impacted fans the most. I mean, this guy was internationally known. He was a big star. So,
yeah. So, yeah, I thought 7 was justified. How about your 7 though? What did you?
Number 7, coming in at number 7, is Howard Finkel.
Howard Finkel. Wow, our lists are so different, and I'm loving it. Howard Finkel is a very good choice, though. Yeah, I did consider him for the list for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Howard Finkel is the voice that fans from, my generation and the one before, like we just hear his voice echo through our brains. In my opinion, best ring announcer of all time, Howard Finkel. Without there's no even close second. Howard Finkel is number 1.
I was gonna try to argue against it and come up with somebody else, but no, I got.
Yeah, you're forgetting Lillian Garcia.
I did think, I was like, well, Lillian was pretty good, back in the early Raw days, but no, absolutely Howard Finkel.
Yeah. So I mean,
such an iconic voice, such an iconic, figure for that era. For just crazy. Just when did he die? Did you talk about that yet?
Sure. Howard Finkel. Yeah. So one of the cool things about Howard Finkel is that he actually debuted January 17th, 1977. Another fun fact about old Finkel is that he was the one who thought of the name WrestleMania.
Finkel.
Finkel.
Yes. Mr. Finkel came up with that. That sumbitch. Wow. That's pretty cool. Why am I Southern?
I get, yeah. A little fun fact for you.
No, that is pretty cool. Came up with WrestleMania. You'd think that was a Vince McMahon idea. I hope that the Fink got some royalties for that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I guarantee he didn't.
Vince said, no, he definitely didn't. There's no way.
But what's really sad about Howard Finkel, though, is that apparently he was in an assisted living situation at the end. He died April 16th, 2020. I couldn't find exactly how or anything like that. All I could find is that he had been unwell since about February 2019 because he had a stroke.
Interesting. I wonder if COVID had anything to do with it. That was right at the beginning of the pandemic.
man, yeah, because in these assisted living places, it was getting fucked up.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. That's really sad to think, though, that a cultural icon like that was just sitting in a assisted living home, like not doing too well. I didn't even know he wasn't doing too well at the end there. That's very sad.
I think it was definitely hush hush. Whenever he died, that a lot of the stuff came out about him, about living in an assisted. Yeah, yep.
Do you remember he was the one? No, I think I'm actually remembering the wrong guy.
You're thinking of Lillian Garcia.
No, I'm not thinking of Lillian Garcia. Do you remember that Legends House show that they first debuted on the network? That wasn't Finkel wasn't in that, right? It was the other. It was the other.
Finkel was on there. Yep.
Was he?
Yeah.
I thought it was the other. Okay, maybe you're right.
I didn't know that until I was doing research for the show today, and Howard Finkel was on Legends House.
What's the other guy that would interview? His name is fucking escaping me.
Mean Gene Okerlund.
Mean Gene Okerlund. That was he also on Legends House?
I believe so. Yeah.
Interesting.
So hit us
And
with
did Mean Gene also pass?
Yeah, Mean Gene Okerlund, which is another one I kind of wish I would have put on the list somewhere. But yeah, he's gone.
That's a big one. Yeah, he's not on my list either, sadly. But
yeah. But what are we on? 7?
Choice, we are on. That was your 7, yeah.
6 for you. Let's go with number 6, Mike.
Roddy Piper.
Nice choice. Okay. Why?
Wow, Jesus.
Why?
Why, Mike? Why? Well, I'll tell you. No,
you're gonna have to explain this to the people.
Are you not a fan of Roddy Piper? I'm getting
no. I love Piper, man.
Okay, I'm just getting vibes that you don't like Piper. That's all. But no, Roddy Piper, man. He obviously was not around during his time, during his glory years, his prime years. But I was a fan of him when he would show up on SmackDown a lot in the 2000s. Do you remember when he was managing Sean O'Haire for a brief period of time?
That was awesome. That made me a Sean O'Haire guy.
Yeah. Roddy Piper even went up. Didn't he have like a match? He had some matches and stuff like that. Might have been tag champion or something. But like he did a number of things. I always loved though when he would come back and do promos on Raw or SmackDown.
Did you like whenever it was the WrestleMania where Chris Jericho took on the legends? One was Jimmy Snuka, one was Ricky Steamboat, and the other one was Roddy Piper.
Yeah, yeah, I enjoyed that quite a bit. Yeah, I remember Steamboat being really impressive in that match.
Yeah. And he had I think
he looked really good for anyone's age.
It went so well. They had him wrestle on Raw.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I remember that being quite good. Pretty crazy. It looked like he hadn't even lost a beat. But
and Ronda Rousey kind of taking the colors and the logo.
Yeah, I liked that little. I actually liked that little friendship that they had, and him passing the torch to her and giving the blessing to use, Ronda.
Is that a shoot? He fucking. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he even gave her. Yeah, he was a big fan of her. I think he even attended a lot of her fights. Gave her advice. Gave her his leather jacket.
Wow. So that is a Roddy Piper given leather jacket.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of like Ronda Rousey too. Even though some people don't like a lot of what she does, but I just feel like that connection to Rowdy from watching her. And by the way, I know I was only talking about the 2000s, and that was significant to me because that's when I was a wrestling fan. But I of course have gone back and watched, the Coconut Smash and the tons of matches with Roddy Piper, from WrestleMania and all that stuff. So definitely have gone back and watched his work. But when I remember hearing when he died, though, I was very shocked.
How did he die?
That is a great question that I will have the answer to momentarily.
Let me tell you my Roddy Piper story.
Yeah, go ahead.
I worked a show with Roddy Piper, and I didn't get booked onto the card because I was in my first year of wrestling, but he was booked at a place where the ring was being rented. And I remember him walking up to the promoter whenever he first got there. And he was like, Now, I need my own dressing room. Go ahead and point me to where that's at. And the promoter was like, oh, fuck. We didn't kind of know that you needed your own like room. And Piper's like, I'm going to leave right fucking now if I don't have a room. And the promoter was like, kind of like drawn back by how aggressive Piper was. And he was like, oh, no, don't worry about it, Roddy. Just, I don't know if Piper was a smoker or not, but I think he stepped outside for a minute for the promoter to figure it out. But he refused to speak to any of the boys in the locker room. He refused to change. Not change, because he was just there for an autograph signing. But he did not meet any of the other wrestlers that were booked and everything. And he was adamant that he needed to not be included with the camaraderie.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, is that
it rubbed
unheard
me
of,
the
though?
wrong way, man?
Yeah, so you didn't have a positive experience with Rowdy that day.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why. That is off-putting. He doesn't want to be part of the boys, basically.
Yeah, he's like, these guys are getting paid $10. Get him the fuck out of here.
Like, these fucks aren't even worth my fucking time.
These backyarders, these jobbers.
These cucks.
I wish you would have said that. Get these cucks out of here.
That's a great word.
So how'd he die, Mike?
He died. I was actually surprised to see how far back it's been. It was in July 2015. So, it's been 7+ years now.
Not that long ago, though. Wow.
Yeah, but what was happening leading up to his death is Piper appeared as a guest on the Rick Eisen show, and he was seen having trouble collecting his thoughts, staying focused, and he was often rambling and not answering the questions that clearly. And then 7 days later, July 31st, Piper died in his sleep at the age of 61 at his residence in Hollywood.
61. And do you think that he was a big user of the powder back in the day?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they were users of a lot of things back then.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys. His death certificate cites a cardiopulmonary arrest caused by hypertension. If that means anything.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, well, TMZ reported it as a heart attack caused by embolism. I don't even know what embolism is, though, to be honest.
Okay, interesting. Okay. All right.
But Piper's longtime friend Bruce Pritchard revealed on his podcast that he received a voicemail from Piper the night of his death. In the message, Piper indicated that he had not been feeling well and that he would be going to sleep it off. Hulk Hogan later revealed that Piper had left him a voicemail that he had discovered following his death, in which Piper said that he was walking with Jesus.
Yeah, and do you believe that?
You're losing your mind, and
Hogan.
Oh, do I believe?
Think Hogan really got a fucking message from Piper?
It could go. It's 50-50, honestly. It's a toss-up, but I'm going to say I believe him.
I just can't believe half the shit that man says.
That's a fair point.
He's been proven multiple times over the years that he's a liar.
But that is and allegedly a racist. But
there ain't no alleged about it, brother.
Okay, whatever. But so the reason why this death shook me, though, is Roddy was just such a positive. Okay, this maybe not from your standpoint, but anytime I saw Roddy, he was such a positive energy that I just gravitated towards, and loved seeing his interviews. With backstage or the wrestling journalists or whatever. Would love to see him on TV on Raw or SmackDown. It was just always a joy seeing what he was going to do or say. So. I remember being devastated.
I wish all the luck in the world to his daughter, Teal Piper, who is still currently in the business. She is actually, I don't know if she's married to a gentleman by the name of Damos, but back whenever I was a stalker at Walmart, Damos, who is now with Teal Piper, the daughter of Roddy Piper, he would come into the Walmart in the middle of the night while I was stocking, and he would buy Cocoa Puffs every night.
He was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
And that's a shoot. He really would.
That's crazy. Well, Cocoa Puffs are good.
And if anybody ever actually like Googles Damos, finds him on Facebook or anything like that, he's a jacked fucking tall ass dude. And he'd be shopping and stuff. It was like 2011. So I had already been wrestling 5 years. And I was like, hey man, you look like you could be a wrestler. And he was like, I'm an independent wrestler, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, so am I. And I was like 150 pounds. And this jacked fucking guy is like, really? You?
You're like, so am I.
It's like, maybe we could have a match one day, me and you, buddy. But yeah,
that's cool.
So I think we've all got a little bit of a connection to old Roddy Piper.
Yeah, for sure. So that was my number 6.
Okay, I've been really excited for my number 6. You ready?
Yep.
Latino Heat.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, that's what they called him, Eddie Guerrero. So, but a couple things about Eddie Guerrero. He actually debuted in 1986 under the name Mascara Magica.
So he had a mask on.
Yeah, from my understanding, right at the gate, and he's from the Guerrero family. They're all wrestlers. His uncle, you name it. His cousins are wrestlers. So he kind of started at a very young age. From my understanding, too, Mike, I believe they had a wrestling ring in their backyard.
Yeah, that was my ultimate dream as a kid, to have a wrestling ring in my backyard. But it never panned out for me. We had a trampoline that we used as a wrestling ring.
I was about to say that's the closest thing we had.
Yeah. But I always wanted the full 20-foot. And I even went as a kid, I would even go and look up companies that made 20 by 20 rings. I'd get it all priced out and be like, okay, well, this is how much I need to save to make this happen. And I, at one point, was saving for it, but I stopped.
Wow. Dude, we actually did the same thing, but we were saving up for another trampoline.
Another trampoline just turned into a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
We did also look.
Yeah.
We looked into adding poles, like 4 corner posts to the trampoline and the ropes. We never did, but we did look into like ways that we could do that.
Think about how different your life would be to this day if you would have just fucking gotten the poles.
We would have been training to be professional wrestlers. We couldn't figure out how to get the ropes sturdy though. But
yeah, you need to start fucking around with the cement at that point.
Yeah. But Eddie Guerrero.
A couple more fun facts about old Eddie Guerrero. In his WWF debut, he performed the frog splash, and that was whenever he dislocated his elbow, and he was sidelined for weeks.
Weeks isn't that bad, though.
Yeah, but debut match, fucking frog splash, boom, fuck my arm.
I can't go on, guys. I can't go on.
God, because dude, I mean, you just got there. Wouldn't you kind of have that anxiety going to the back? Like, fuck, they're going to cancel everything they just planned for me.
This guy can't even get through one fucking match. He's already injured.
Now, for some reason, I thought he won the championship at WrestleMania. He didn't.
He retained it. Yeah.
He got his first WWE championship at the 2004 No Way Out. Trivia question. Who did he beat?
Brock Lesnar.
Good job, Brock Lesnar.
Which sounds unbelievable when you think about it today.
Right. Fucking Brock, man. He's been around forever. Some people forget about that.
Yeah. But I remember that was because Brock Lesnar was on his way out, right? So they had to get the title off of him.
I don't think so. Not at this time. I think it was the next WrestleMania. Brock was on his way out against Goldberg.
No, but you said he lost his title at No Way Out because Eddie Guerrero won because Goldberg interfered in the match, which set up the match for WrestleMania, Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar.
Gotcha. Yeah. For some reason, I was still thinking it was WrestleMania. Yeah, this was No Way Out. You're right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, really cool though that he actually got a chance to win the belt like that.
And the biggest moment for Eddie Guerrero, arguably, was retaining the belt, WrestleMania 20 against Kurt Angle, having that big moment where he's hugging and kissing Chris Benoit.
That was a powerful moment. Like you think back to at the time. Well, even now, I'm sorry, even now,
Now.
even now, you have to admit. Hold on, I'm not talking about who Chris Benoit is as a person. I'm saying the moment. It was one of the greatest WrestleMania moments in history.
I'm just one of those guys that thinks that once you kill your whole family, everything that you ever did is tarnished.
Well, no, it is for sure tarnished. I agree, but you can't just erase it.
Even now.
Even now, Chris Benoit is the best wrestler there ever was.
Oh my God. That clip's going to go on TikTok.
Great.
Yes, but November 13th, 2005, Eddie was found unconscious in his hotel room. He died by acute heart failure.
This death, he's on my list too. He's just in a different spot. Eddie Guerrero's death rocked me. I remember waking up, reading that, having to wipe my eyes and read it a couple more times because I just didn't believe what I was fucking reading. I was so high on Eddie Guerrero. First of all, I loved Los Guerreros. Him and Chavo doing all the vignettes and doing these like skits backstage and other places where they would lie, cheat, and steal their way out of something. And you could say whatever you want. Maybe it's a gimmick that's not in poor taste or whatever. I guess by today's standards, and it's in poor taste. But I just thought they were so funny together. They were hilarious. They made me laugh. Him, Eddie Guerrero, grabbing having a steel chair in his hands, throwing it at his opponent, and then falling down like he was the one hit with the steel chair. Classic Eddie. Like that was the kind of stuff we loved to see, and loved seeing him as world champion.
And him being with China, I think that on paper, a lot of people did not think that was going to work, but that was gold.
Yeah, he made a lot of things work. That was great. No, for sure. They were a good duo.
And now for my Eddie Guerrero death story. On November 13th, 2005, he died. November 13th, 2005, I was in the military school. And in military school, I had no contact with the outside, no internet. I got one phone call a week, so I had no clue. Here's how I found out Eddie Guerrero died. I was sitting on the ground in the bay, shining my military boots with my other comrades, and a drill instructor came into the hallway, and he said, "Hey, any of you guys wrestling fans?" I was the only one who put my hand up. I was like, "Hey, you found them. I'm a fucking huge wrestling fan." He said, "Oh, great. Eddie Guerrero died." And then he walked away.
Wow, what a way to just kill your spirit.
I was like, what, how? What do you mean?
What do you mean? I need details.
So whenever
Were you shocked?
Shocked. Fuck. Like, and I couldn't get any information. Like the internet's a fucking thing at this time. I can't fucking just go on the internet and find out how. Like, what the fuck? And it was 2 days later, I called home and everything. I was like, "Oh, hey, Mom, how are you?" And she's like, "Oh, good, Trav. Good to hear from you." I'm like, "Listen, you need to tell Julian, my brother, to fucking copy and paste how Eddie Guerrero died and send." And there was an email you could send to the academy. They would print it off, and it'd be like a letter. And so about a week later, I had my brother send me, what happened to Eddie Guerrero, so I could read it.
Interesting. So that's how you got to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I was so sad. I remember being sad for days after. Like I just felt, and I didn't know the guy, never met him. I did see him live once or twice.
Did you?
Yeah, one at a house show and one at a SmackDown taping.
Do you remember who he wrestled?
I do not know. I just remember him being there.
But that's still dope.
Yeah, really, really cool, and glad I got to experience that. But yeah, just remember being so sad, and it was like another guy's life taken way too soon. And I think it had something to do with maybe his drug past or steroid use, or
he had an enlarged heart. I mean,
enlarged heart.
Yeah. Fuck me.
And I guess leading up to this, there were signs about. There was like telltale signs with his energy levels and how he was acting backstage, but that people didn't realize until after the fact. Like they just chalked it up to like, oh, he's tired or whatever. But they said looking back, like he was there were days where he would just have like no energy whatsoever, like, because his heart was basically giving out.
And I even heard stories about his body being like so tight he could barely like put his fucking arms down and stuff. He had trouble moving around and stuff. Like, whoo.
So tight because of how muscular he was, or what?
I guess
Or
just
do you mean just from something else, like being stiff?
do you think he was juicing? He was probably juicing.
I mean, that dude seemed unusually large for his size.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if you got too much muscle mass, of course you're probably gonna have a little bit of trouble moving around. Yeah.
Yeah. Better to be fat. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure. Big Daddy V had it right.
Dude, Big Daddy V almost made my list.
Wait, is he number 5?
No, he's not. He almost made my list, but he's not on it. I love Big Daddy V though, like especially the pajama wearing Viscera, the world's largest love machine, Viscera.
Oh, no. No. Man, whenever, dude, he was fucking scary in the Ministry.
Oh yeah, for sure. I loved him in ECW days too, when he adopted that Big Daddy V character, and he was this menacing pile of blob. He just was huge.
Sloppiest tits I've ever seen.
he really did. I guess it's one of the reasons he ended up getting released, though, is because of they wanted him to lose weight. But anyway, I went off on a tangent.
Number 5, Mike.
Number 5 for me is Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper.
If I was to guess, because I was thinking last night before I went to bed, I was like, okay, if there's somebody that I know is going to be on Mike's list, it's going to be Brody Lee.
Jesus, how did you?
Right,
know?
He was in your top 5.
Top 5, yeah. His death hit me because it came out of nowhere. First, it was like this injury thing. He had that like dog collar match with Cody Rhodes, and he wasn't really seen after that. But I guess there were some issues, some health issues. He ended up being hospitalized and died there 10 days before his 31st birthday.
Who is Bray Wyatt without having a fucking solid supporting cast? And Luke Harper was fucking awesome in the Wyatt family.
He was Luke Harper. He was good. He had some really good singles matches too, not just tag matches. Mm-hmm. But I remember especially towards the end when they would give Luke Harper chances and like single matches here and there, like he would really shine.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But he eventually, went to AEW and got a bit more notoriety there, with his Brody Lee gimmick, and he would join the Dark Order. He was the Exalted One, is how he was introduced. And I remember his backstage skits, like on, what is it, BTE? Is that the name of their YouTube show? Yeah. I just remember them being very funny, hilarious. Him just swearing like over the top, like, what the fuck? Just going way over the top with the swearing. It was just hilarious to me. But I enjoyed the whole gimmick. It was really sad how all that was cut short. And that was during the COVID pandemic too.
And that makes me really sad. Because I missed all of his AEW run because of the pandemic. I refuse to watch wrestling without a crowd.
Yeah, it's awkward for sure. It's but I still gave it a shot. I was watching most weeks. But yeah. So
there you go, Brody Lee.
December 26, 2020, like I said, 10 days before his birthday. He had been in the hospital receiving treatment for a lung issue. And they claim, though, it's unrelated to COVID. And he had tested negative multiple times.
Man, just out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yep. So that's my number 5.
Okay. Coming in at number 5. I'm going to go with the Macho Man Randy Savage.
The Macho Man Randy Savage.
I was listening to his rap album last night in preparo for the show today.
Be a Man, Hulk.
And the best song, a lot of people will say it is Be a Man. His diss for Hulk Hogan. But I think that the best song on his CD is definitely My Perfect Friend. Oh, we miss you. what the fuck? What's his name? Kurt Hennig. Yeah, Kurt Hennig. It's like, we miss you, Kurt. Like, I don't know, man. You could never find a more iconic voice other than Darth Vader, fucking Macho Man Randy Savage.
Is that his normal voice, or did he like try to talk like that?
There is a YouTube video of like Macho Man Randy Savage's real voice, and it's like a backstage video, like where he doesn't know he's being filmed, and it's a little lighter than what he does, but he pretty much sounds the same all the time. He's like,
It might be just a little bit more exaggerated when he's on camera.
Oh my god, yeah, just like most of the guys, yeah. Do you have a
Makes
favorite
sense.
Macho Man moment?
See, I've not watched enough Macho Man to know to have a good moment. The only thing that I really appreciate over the years, this has nothing to do with Macho Man himself, but I like all the throwbacks to when wrestlers wear gear to like call back certain wrestlers. So like CM Punk's done with that with Bret Hart, but CM Punk has also done that with Macho Man's colors and stuff like that too. So I always like throwbacks like that. But yeah, I've never really watched enough of him.
Interesting. I know my least favorite thing that ever happened with Randy Savage is that I thought TNA was going to bring him in. He came in, he tagged with AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy to take on Jeff Jarrett, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall on a TNA pay-per-view. And I thought this was the beginning of his last run, and apparently the story is that Randy was still knee deep in his fucking feud with Hulk Hogan, and Hogan was backstage in Orlando because they were talking to Hogan at this time, trying to see if he wanted to come in. He was visiting some people. It was one of the multiple times they were trying to get Hulk in, and apparently Savage saw Hulk in the back and was like, "Oh, fuck that guy," and just left and never came back.
Oh, Jesus. So him and Hulk Hogan had a serious feud.
He was like, "Oh god, we'll have a fucking the first ever shoe fight for boxing. We will donate all the money to the children's hospital. What, you can't fight for the children?" And it was this big thing, man. And
he's like, "I know you were fucking Elizabeth, brother."
He's like, "You're a coward."
Is that what it was over? Was there drama over that? Was there drama over?
I don't think that was a shoot. No.
Okay.
But yeah, so not too much to say about Randy Savage. He died May 20th, 2011, age 58. He was driving down the highway with his wife and suffered a heart attack. And a lot of people speculated that it was from the crash, where, he kind of crashed into a tree. But he was wearing his seatbelt, and so was his wife. And they had no injuries. It was a heart attack that killed him.
Wow, that's crazy. Just driving, having a normal day, so you think, and then gone in a flash.
Look at the palm trees. It is a beautiful day.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I don't feel right.
Hold on, I think something's not going on.
She's like, "Randy, you say that every day." Like, "You're right. It's just my anxiety, probably."
he's like, oh,
I got a little blurred vision. I'm sorry.
I'm starting to not be able to tell these cars apart from the other there.
Oh my God.
This has gotten dark fast.
I see Jesus, brother.
I think that Macho Man Randy Savage, I think he did go to heaven. I think he was a good fucking dude.
Yeah, I hope so. I'll tell you, my only real memory of Macho Man, the one that sticks out for me the most, is when he portrayed that role in Spider-Man. Do you remember
You're going nowhere. I got you in the ring for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
Yeah, that was good. He even made a mention of that in his diss towards Hulk Hogan. He's like, "I got a feature role in Spider-Man." Yeah.
Yeah, but Buzzsaw, I think is his character's name.
Yeah, Buzzsaw is ready.
And while we're talking about things that he did in Hollywood, one of my favorite things he ever did was back in the Cartoon Network days. He played. It was a short. I think on the Powerpuff Girls. Sometimes they would show like a short that's not the Powerpuff Girls. That was about something else. Or Randy Savage voiced one of the characters. He's actually done a lot of voice work in cartoons.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
I wish I would have fucking Googled that before we did the show. I can't remember the name of the episode he was on or anything like that. But I remember you knew it was Randy Savage whenever he was voicing the character.
Yeah.
Number 4?
Number 4 for me is the Ultimate Warrior.
Okay, and just so we're not looked at as disrespectful pieces of shit, we're going to be doing impersonations of every wrestler from this point forward.
From this point.
What must I do to prepare for this match? Should I lay on the lawn and let the lawnmowers blow me over?
No, but the rule is that we have to reenact their death. At the same, like we did with Macho. It's got to be fair throughout the board. Ultimate Warrior's like, man, that promo. Where the fuck? That's not the voice. Yeah, I can't do. You did way better, Ultimate Warrior.
It's voice. Like a deeper voice, and then it's more stupid and dumb.
That's perfect, though. That's perfect. Yeah. So he'd be walking out of his hotel. This is you walking out of the hotel, and you're starting to feel some pain in your chest. Maybe you're talking about the promo from last night and how well it went. I think Vince is going to use me more. So go ahead. That's your.
No, I can't. Don't do
this. Do it. This is.
I can't.
Do it for the Vine. Do it for the TikTok.
Was he dry? So they were just leaving the hotel?
They were leaving the hotel, yeah.
He fucking dropped dead in the parking lot?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Man, a lot of people don't want to give him his flowers because I think a lot of people say he was racist and he was homophobic. Homophobic for
he
sure.
He was homophobic, yeah. And that's unfortunate. Him being on this list isn't me saying I support everything he did in his life. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, well, I guess I'm glad I called his yelling dumb and stupid. So, no, the Ultimate Warrior, man. There's never going to be a situation like that again because boom, Hall of Fame Saturday, WrestleMania Sunday, Raw Monday, dead on Tuesday. What the fuck?
Yeah, he had the whole weekend. So he basically had a great weekend. Like from what I understand, he had a great weekend, meeting a lot of people, bearing the hatchet with Hulk Hogan.
Like, I have patched up so many things from the past, and nothing bad's gonna happen to me.
It's like he really did put a bow on all the bad things in his life. And then, yeah, I guess he had no more.
He found some peace. He still hated the gays, but he fucking found.
He still hated the gays. He did still hate. I'm sorry to say, he did still hate the gays. That's unfortunate. But yeah, he cut this promo on Raw where he comes out, and I did notice it. Then I remember specifically bringing it up to Glenn, and I said, "Hey, man, Warrior looks, he just looks really tired because he wasn't shaking the ropes very much. He would grab them and then barely shake them. And he was just out of breath. He seemed uneasy. There was something going on there. And it was just the next day. But I remember that promo that he did was very eerie, especially after his death. It was talking about how
one day every man's heart beats its final beat. His lungs breathe their final breath.
That was a part of his promo. And then
he fucking knew.
He dies. Yeah, it's almost as if he did. The promo and how he died was just so crazy, hard to believe.
There's no doubt in my mind, and a lot of people shit on his last match ever. Do you remember his that right there's some good trivia. What was his last match? Do you remember?
It would have been in WCW, right?
No.
Was it for some independent wrestling promotion?
Yes.
I did see. I don't know who it's against, so you'll have to tell me.
It was against Orlando Jordan.
Oh, wow. Wow. So he finally buried his hatchet. Buried the hatchet with the gay.
I don't think he knew.
He's like afterwards. He's like, "Oh, how come nobody told me?" I don't even know whose voice I'm doing right now.
And just to kind of sidebar, just real quick, and we'll get right back on the Ultimate Warrior. AJ Styles is very homophobic. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, and I was on an indie show where he was wrestling AR Fox, and AR Fox, I don't know if he's bisexual or homosexual. I don't want to misspeak here, but it was told to the locker room not to tell AJ Styles that AR Fox was.
Not to tell AJ Styles, Jesus.
Yeah, it was like that. And and I'm not trying to hurt AJ Styles' image. Yeah, this isn't gonna blow up. Like, not a lot of people are gonna fucking call out AJ Styles
tomorrow. We're gonna be looking. It's like it's got 1 million views.
No, but a lot of people said that. They were like, AJ Styles will not wrestle AR Fox if he knows that. So don't fucking say anything.
Afterwards, he was just like, "You guys lied to me. You guys lied."
Well, first of all, I didn't even know who AR Fox was before this. Do you know who AR Fox is?
No.
He's apparently like a super indie guy. He's wrestled on a lot of big indie cards. He's never showed up in any major promotions, but a lot of people thought he was going to get signed at some point.
I wonder if AJ Styles would wrestle Sonny Kiss.
No.
No.
Nope.
On AEW Dark.
And AJ Styles even said in an interview, they were like, "Oh, what do you think of AEW?" He was like, "I got a lot of friends over there from Georgia, from where I grew up." But he was like, "But I like it, WWE. I ain't leaving WWE. I'm going to finish out my career here in the WWE." I think AJ Styles didn't want to go to AEW because of, they got a transgender wrestler there. They got, they got AJ
You
Styles.
think those are the reasons? See, for me, I think WWE is just the bigger promotion. Like, when you've made it to the Yankees, why would you then want to go drop down to the minor leagues?
I think that's the perfect excuse AJ Styles would use, but in his heart, it would be because there's people who don't have the same
perfect politically correct excuse.
Correct.
He's like, guys, the real reason is because WWE is the best, and I want to wrestle for the best.
And a lot of NWA TNA first pay-per-views too. AJ Styles would drop the F word, the derogatory term for a gay person.
Oh, I thought you meant okay, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, he would use it not all the time, but enough.
I remember that was a common thing back then for a lot of people to use it as that's what you would say to anybody. Not a gay person. Like, we would never call a gay person that, but that's what you would call your friend who is being stupid. Like, oh, I'm not gonna say the word because I don't want to make someone will clip it and be like, he's saying this word. He's against the gays.
No, for sure. That's definitely a no word these days. And no, I remember that back in the 90s. Oh, it would get thrown around all the time.
Yeah. And I remember using it too, sadly, but it was just the norm.
And AJ Styles is like, let's bring it back.
This is a great word.
But damn, we just went off on a terrible tangent there.
Terrible.
We only got a half hour left. Go ahead with number 4.
Number 4, that was Ultimate Warrior. So now it's your turn.
Okay, number 4, ladies and gentlemen, Daphne, former WCW star, TNA wrestler as well. Daphne.
Big fan?
Okay, so this is kind of a personal one. In 2007, whenever I wrestled on the show with Chris Jericho in Martinsburg, West Virginia, he wasn't the only star that they brought in. They had Bobby Eaton. They had a couple stars on the show, but Daphne was one of them. And I remember Daphne being so kind to all of the local wrestlers, and she was so nice. I remember actually dressing next to her. We had chairs right next to each other. We just chit-chatted about life. Very short conversation I had with Daphne that day, but I could kind of tell that she was just a good fucking person. But one of the things about Daphne too is that she did something that not a lot of wrestlers do. Daphne sued TNA Wrestling in 2011 for injuries that she had sustained while working for TNA. They settled out of court in March 2013. She considered TNA wrestling unsafe working environments, and she got fucked up in one of the Monsters Ball matches, and they did not want to pay her fucking medical bills.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, if she gets hurt on your watch,
that's how it should be.
Yeah,
but she ain't no Kurt Angle.
I don't know enough about Daphne. I wasn't just haven't watched really, so I don't know any of her work. You know, I just know of her. Like, how did she come to pass? Like, how did that happen?
Okay, so on September 1st, 2021, last year, we're actually coming up on the anniversary of it. But she was on Instagram Live. She was visibly shaken, and she read a suicide note while holding a pistol. A lot of the viewers said it looked like she was holding a pistol. And she also requested during the Instagram Live that her brain be donated for CTE testing.
Wow.
And apparently she had been at a couple different addresses, and people were reaching out to her family and her friends to do a welfare check. And it was this big question on like, oh, fuck, where is she living at right now? Nobody could find her. The police eventually found her I believe the morning after this Instagram Live video, and she died via suicide, gunshot wound to the chest.
Jesus. That's so crazy and sad.
There was a big outpouring from fans and wrestlers that had worked with her, and I want to give her flowers right now. Daphne was a fucking supremely charismatic manager. She ended up becoming an in-ring worker. And I felt like she was a pretty good wrestler as well. During the big TNA knockout era where the, Awesome Kong and Gail Kim and all these wrestlers were killing it and stuff, Daphne found herself in that division at one point, and she held her own. She was a good wrestler, and she's greatly missed. So
she just had some demons she was wrestling.
She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, in her early 20s, and struggled with depression and all that, and life just didn't really pan out the way I guess that she thought it would, or whatever the reason may be. I'm not going to speculate here, but she ended up committing suicide.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Number 3, Mike.
Number 3 is a pretty recent one. Scott Hall.
Oh, okay, good choice.
Yeah, Scott from the NWO to, or even before that, Razor Ramon. And then when he came back to WWF, like, I've always been really interested in Scott's work, but I'd have to say it's mostly his work out of the ring that I've enjoyed so much. Like, I love his interviews, hearing him and Kevin Nash on those shoot interviews or various things they've done together over the years, telling road stories. I would have loved for him to do a podcast of his own, Scott. I bet he would have had a ton of great stories to share. One of the reasons I'm grateful for the Kevin Nash podcast is I get to hear a lot of Scott Hall stories. But yeah, man, I found him to be just one funny dude. Yeah, it hit me pretty bad that day when he passed.
Oh,
how about you?
Without a doubt, for sure. Whenever I was a kid, we had a VHS tape, the best matches of Shawn Michaels. One of them was Shawn Michaels versus Tatanka, but one of the matches on this VHS tape was Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon in a ladder match. It wasn't their WrestleMania ladder match. I think they had one at SummerSlam that was also hailed as one of the greatest matches of all time. And yeah, that was a match I've seen maybe 100 times. And fun fact too, not a fun fact, but whenever I was a very small child, I was 7 or 8 years old, maybe even younger, my dad looked in the face kind of like Scott Hall, I thought, as a kid. So sometimes I'd be watching Razor Ramon wrestle on my TV, and I was like, yeah, Dad, get him.
Just had an uncanny resemblance, huh?
Yeah, they had the same body build. My dad was a Marine. He was a bigger guy. And Scott Hall, you got to remember, in the 80s, Scott Hall was juicing. He was fucking juiced up. He was a big meathead. But in the 90s, we saw a Scott Hall that wasn't on steroids. From my understanding, Razor Ramon was not on steroids. So,
Oh, that's pretty cool if that's true.
yeah, I mean, just look at AWA Scott Hall. He's fucking jacked to the gills, but in WWF, he was not.
Yeah, definitely smaller.
Looked healthier too. Looked good.
A standout match for me would probably be his match with Shawn Michaels, the ladder match. I know it's probably a go-to for a lot of people, but I do like that match quite a bit.
I mean, yeah, I believe it was the first ladder match in the United States, at least. From my understanding, there's been ladder matches before that, but on a big stage, that was the first ladder match.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
just
cool, man.
Yeah, yes, that's my pick. Oh, as far as it happened just this year, March 2022, as a lot of people know. He was hospitalized after falling and breaking his hip, and he was immobile on the floor for 4 days before being discovered by a wellness check.
Wow.
So after
Man.
that, Hall underwent hip replacement surgery. A blood clot was dislodged and resulted in Hall having 3 heart attacks on March 12th. Jesus, not one. One's bad enough, but 3.
And do you know if
after that he was put on life support?
I think Kevin Nash got to say goodbye to him too while he was on life support.
Yeah, it's my understanding that actually Kevin Nash got to go there before he was taken off life support.
I think he held a bunch of people on the like he got a bunch of guys on the phone, like Michaels, Triple H, and apparently they did some kind of a phone conference too with Scott Hall where they just talked to him. He couldn't talk back, but they just kind of talked to him. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, and then Kevin Nash just recently lost his son, so he's having a string.
Speaking of sons, I'm glad that Scott got to kind of make peace. Well, not kind of. He made peace with his son too, Cody.
Yeah, and Scott seemed like he was doing better in general ever since DDP helped him out and got him clean and got him in better shape. But eventually,
fucking insane, isn't he?
Yeah, he's really helped out a lot of guys, not just wrestlers too. Just so many people lose weight and get in better shape.
Yeah, very cool. Good pick.
So you're number 3. How about you?
Number 3 is a 2-for-1 special. Yeah, I had to fit 2 of these motherfuckers in here.
I wonder if it's going to be the ones. I'll let you say who it is, but there was going to be a tag team I was going to put on here, but go ahead.
The Road Warriors.
That's exactly who I was going to put on. Wow, they just barely missed the list. They were almost on both. I was going to do 2-for-1 too.
Oh, were you? See, I kind of wanted to throw you through a loop.
But they ended up getting taken off. No, very, very. That's a good pick. Good pick for sure.
They debuted in the WWF in 1990. What can you really say about the Road Warriors, man? As a child, I played the video games on the Super Nintendo a good bit. And I remember both Hawk and Animal being options on one of the games. And I just remember thinking they look so fucking cool. With the face paint, and then once you pop in the VHS tape from back in those days, anytime the Legion of Doom was on your TV, those guys would fucking wreck people. They were just badass.
What a rush.
Nice. Very good.
That's my best one. That's all I can do.
Pretty good.
Yeah, those guys were pretty cool. I liked Animal especially. Animal was my favorite out of the 2.
I'm a Hawk guy.
Yeah. And one of the cool things that they would say about people would always say, I want a Road Warrior pop, or wow, that was a Road Warrior pop. So they were so big that they had a level of crowd noise named after them.
And that's like tippy top. The best that you can get is the Road Warrior pop.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Road Warrior Hawk died October 19th, 2003. They were packing to move the next day. They were supposed to move, him and his wife And he said, after a day of packing and all that, that, Mike, you just moved. He was tired. He wanted to take a nap. He said to his
That's
wife,
exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, I'm just going to fucking take a quick, just little nap. We'll get back to it. This nap turned into, a little extended nap. So his wife checked on him about 1:00 in the morning. He died of a sudden heart attack.
Jeez. In his sleep.
Yeah, she came in and he was just kind of laying there.
That's crazy. And that just goes to show how life you could just be having a normal, ordinary day. You're moving some loading boxes and then you're going to go take a nap. Nothing out of the norm there. And then that's it.
And moving. You think that you're going on to your next chapter in life, and it's like, fuck.
Well, he did.
You just closed a chapter for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I liked also when Animal came back to WWE. This is after Hawk was gone, and he teamed with Heidenreich, and like they had their new Road Warrior thing. Some people thought it was
my
really
favorite
stupid.
version of the Road Warriors.
Oh Jesus, I wouldn't go that far, but
No.
I just remember it being cool.
Yeah, it's because of me and you why Heidenreich wasn't allowed to use the Road Warrior gimmick anymore.
Or was it now?
It was. We interviewed Road Warrior Animal for our old wrestling podcast. It was about 2007. We interviewed Road Warrior Animal, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, did you know that Heidenreich is using the Road Warrior gimmick on the Indies, and he's letting other wrestlers don the shoulder pads and all that?" And Animal was fucking pissed. He was very mad.
You really gave him some information that upset him.
Yeah, he was like, I will be getting in touch with my lawyer because I own that. I own the trademark. I own it. And like he was going on a whole tangent. I was like, I'm just letting you know.
You really opened up a can of worms on that one.
And that was the last time a lot of people even saw Heidenreich. So
yeah, you got him fucking
You're
murdered.
welcome.
You're welcome. He has you to thank for it.
And just in case nobody knows this fact here, Road Warrior Animal died September 22nd, 2020 at the Margaritaville Resort in Osage Beach, Missouri. Animal had just celebrated a wedding anniversary, and he apparently got back to the room, collapsed on the bed, and suffered a sudden heart attack.
Wow. Yeah,
60 years old.
That's still way too young. 60 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. That one upset me too, just because that's way too young to go, and it's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. So we're in the final stretch here, last 15 minutes. Who is your big fucking number 2?
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because he was in your list earlier. Eddie Guerrero.
Why?
Why is he on this list? Yeah, just amazing wrestler, as I was talking about earlier. Loved all the stuff he did with Los Guerreros, winning the title. Just when he was coming back, or when he before he died, rather, he was gearing up to become champion again, I believe.
From my understanding, he was supposed to wrestle Shawn Michaels at that WrestleMania that year.
Wow. What a great match that would have been.
That's a match that's never happened.
Yeah, and very sad. But
he fucking made JBL look like a main eventer. Nobody ever thought
yeah, he really did. Yeah. I believe JBL. I always viewed JBL as a main eventer after that feud.
Me too.
Yeah. I had no issue accepting that as a change. But Eddie Guerrero, I love that. Do you remember that ringing cell phone? His theme song started with a ringing cell phone. It was when he turned heel.
Yeah.
It was like, beep, beep, beep. I don't know, can you feel the heat? I don't know. Just I actually really dug that version of it. No, I really dug that version of his theme song. I had it set as my ringtone for a while back in 2005.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because the beginning of that theme song sounded like a ringing phone or something. But yeah, I everything that man did, it was just, he could make anything work, it seemed. No matter what was thrown at him, he could make it work, make it funny, make it good.
So, yeah, some of my favorite some of my favorite Eddie Guerrero matches too happened. He got released by the WWE. He did that very short run on the independents. He had a match with CM Punk at this time too. Fucking great match. If you guys get a chance to look that one up. Good.
Yeah. That's how cool is that they wrestled on the indies like that.
Yeah, very cool. Kind of wish Eddie Guerrero would have went to TNA.
He never wrestled there even once?
Never. Are you ready for my number 2?
He ended up becoming a big star anyway, going back to WWE. But yeah,
that was the right move. Yeah.
All right, lay it on me. What's your number 2?
Number 2, coming in at number 2, woman.
Woman?
Yeah.
I never even considered her for my list.
Nancy Benoit.
Oh, I didn't even. Oh, fuck, that's her. Oh, fuck.
That's her.
Oh, I didn't. I knew woman, but I didn't know Nancy Benoit was woman.
Yeah, man. I want to give her flowers, man. Nobody fucking ever wants to talk about her career.
Good for you. Good for you putting her on this list.
That's right. Debuted June 30th, 1984 as the Fallen Angel. She gained the name Woman during her WCW run, 1989 to 1990. She worked for ECW, 93 to 96. She managed guys like Sandman, Shane Douglas, Too Cold Scorpio. Did a lot of good business in ECW. She returned to the WCW in 1996 to 97. She was a manager for the Four Horsemen. She did a lot in her career.
She did some stuff, yeah, for sure.
And it was around this time, too, where they did the angle where Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan, who in real life was married to her, they did that angle where she was leaving him for Benoit. The angle turned into real life. They got a divorce, and she rode off in the sunset with Chris.
They had to have known that angle wasn't going to play out. Angles like that never play out the way you want them to.
But, I mean, in the history of wrestling, this angle had to have been done multiple times before this. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Do you think they really knew that? Like, damn.
Like, I would never even want to like pretend to have my woman associated with somebody else, even in a storyline, because then that plants that seed in your mind. Like, oh, what if this was real? What if this was real life? We took this to the next step. I don't know. That's how I look at it.
And Kevin Sullivan was an ugly motherfucker in comparison to Chris Benoit.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
So you're basically just throwing your woman into another man's arms.
More or less. But we're not going to go into the full story, but it was June 25th, 2007. Chris Benoit, Nancy, and their son, Daniel, were found in the Benoit home. Double murder suicide.
Yeah. That, Jesus. I remember when they did the Raw tribute show to Chris Benoit. And I don't know if they knew or maybe they did know and they just said, fuck it, we're going to do this tribute show anyway. I don't know. But then when everything came out over the next 24 hours and Vince McMahon looking angry as fuck on ECW basically said, we're never mentioning Chris Benoit ever again. This will be the last time.
I just hate how they didn't even mention Nancy
or her son, their son.
Well, I get not mentioning the son. He's, but Nancy was a worker. She was a manager for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't do anything in the WWF. Okay. But what the fuck?
Yeah, they gave her no love, that's for sure.
But I didn't want to spend too much time on them. It's very easy to go down the rabbit hole of Chris Benoit. It's all old news at this point. The guy was a piece of shit. Moving on.
So ready for my number 1?
Man, this is what I've been waiting on. Who is your fucking number 1?
It's Chris Benoit. It's Chris Benoit.
Nuh-uh.
I swear to God, it's Chris Benoit.
Now, let me go ahead and hit end broadcast. No.
So that's so funny. The last one, you were just like, so let's just move on from Chris Benoit. I'm like, well, Chris Benoit is my number 1.
Can we maybe maybe don't. Do you have anybody else?
Do you have anybody else? Scott, it's Chris Benoit.
Let's do Big Daddy V.
It's Chris Benoit.
Are you fucking ribbing me right now?
No, I'm not ripping you. No, here's my reasoning. The task was for me to name my top 10 wrestlers who impacted me as a fan the most. Their deaths, rather. Chris Benoit sent ripples through the professional wrestling. Like, he sent shockwaves. Like, people everywhere, not just in wrestling, in anywhere, when they heard about this story, this murder, this double murder, suicide. Like, when this broke out, it was huge news.
Oh yeah, it gave an opportunity for guys like Steve Blackman and Mark Marrow to do interviews on CNN. Like, the shit
They
was
did.
bullshit.
They did too. They're just like, wow, this is my time to shine.
They're like, I don't even know if I really met the guy. I'm gonna answer this call from CNN though. I'm gonna be on TV tonight.
I just remember. So I'm talking about this death shocked me. That's how I looked at this list. I'm not saying that Chris Benoit is the best wrestler by him being here. I'm saying Chris Benoit and the story that unfolded shocked me the most.
Okay,
so that's why he's my number one. Yeah, for sure. Because I remember, because first it was just Chris Benoit's dead. Then we hear a little bit more about, about his wife, Nancy, his son, Daniel, also being dead. And that led to a lot of speculation. Like, oh, was the whole family murdered? Like, there was a lot of stories being, thought of. And
did you believe any of them?
Yeah, I wanted to believe that they were just, it was like a home invasion. Like that was my gut at that time. Because I was just, me thinking about Chris killing them just was not even on the radar.
Did you think it was that devil worshiper Kevin Sullivan?
No, I didn't think it was.
That's what I thought for a brief moment. I was like, I could see that.
He came back for his revenge. I could see it. It would make sense. But no, yeah, it was just the whole ordeal, shocking, tragic, how it all played out. And the whole thing with the text messages, like texting Chavo and various people saying the dogs are in the, pool house or whatever the fuck he said, wherever the texts were. I don't know, it's just the whole story. Crazy, shocking. And like you said, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on Chris Benoit either. And we're at the end of the show anyway. But that's my number one. Because when I look at the wrestlers' deaths, that's one that shocked me the most.
I, very saddened by Nancy and Daniel. Incredibly sad. But also very relieved that we would never have to fucking see a terrible Chris Benoit promo again. The guy couldn't fucking talk for nothing. He couldn't sell a pay-per-view. He couldn't sell a feud. And a lot of people forget that about Chris Benoit. Fucking god awful. His title reign was a complete flop. It was the most boring. He was literally Lance Storm.
Whoa, Lance, he was way more interesting than Lance Storm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Name me a great Chris Benoit promo. You fucking can't.
Well, if I had enough time.
Fuck him. So
I don't even know what to say. I think you were not giving Chris Benoit his flowers.
We never have to fucking sit through another. Oh, here comes a German suplex. Oh, here comes another chop. Benoit's so great. Fuck him. He was a terrible wrestler at that.
You're only saying that now because of what he did, you asshole.
You've seen one Chris Benoit match. You've seen them all.
I disagree.
Great mat wrestling. Watch Kurt Angle. You don't fucking have to watch Chris Benoit. He's another Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit
at least could talk on the mic.
Yeah. Well, Chris Benoit could too. He could handle his own to an extent.
Kurt Angle with the fucking cowboy hat with the guitar going back and forth with Stone Cold. Did we ever see Chris Benoit do anything entertaining? Never.
I wouldn't say never personally, but to each their own.
All right.
What's your number one?
Okay. Sorry, my fucking heart's beating so hard right now. Okay. My number one. To to complete the list, deaths in pro wrestling that impacted fans the most. Travis DuFour, the number one. Owen Hart.
I should have known that would be your number one.
He was my favorite fucking wrestler, man.
Yeah, Scott Blackwell says the triple threat at Mania was good. And I agree.
We're done. Hey,
I agree. That was good.
Thank you, Triple H and Michaels. You had to fucking carry brain dead Chris Benoit. But anyway, Owen Hart, man, we got to give him his flowers. I think that his wife, Martha, made a good decision not letting WWE do shit with his name, not make any more money off of him, because it could be considered manslaughter what happened there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Negligence. You name it.
I'm surprised. There was a lawsuit from that, right?
There was, and Vince had to sue Martha back to get the whole proceeding to happen in Connecticut. So,
yeah.
Owen Hart, man, he just was a natural behind the microphone. I think that what would have happened if he wouldn't have died, if I could kind of armchair book it, I think once his contract was up, he was going to WCW to be with his brother, or he was going to retire from pro wrestling.
Retire? Seems pretty young to retire.
Well, a lot of, his wife and a lot of people close to him said that he wanted to possibly become like a career firefighter after that.
Yeah. And
be with his family.
Could you imagine, though, being Bret Hart, you have that terrible Montreal screwjob thing in 97. Then a couple years later, after you've left that company, you find out your brother's died at one of their pay-per-views. Like I couldn't imagine getting that kind of news.
And me being one of the few people in the world that believes that the Montreal screwjob was a work, I think that Bret was not expecting this.
Well, you think it's a work? That's a topic for another episode then.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. To really fuck WCW out of even more money and to kind of take care of Bret. I think that yeah. That's another conversation for another episode. But I think that Owen probably, well, I don't know. Bret probably would have told Owen, like, hey, shit's fucked up over here. Creative's really bad. Nobody knows what they're doing. Hogan, Nash, Hall, all these guys, they're kind of shitting all over the business over here. So once my contract's done, I'm probably going to go back to Vince. But he probably would have told Owen that. But
yeah, you would think. So Owen was wrestling as the Blue Blazer at this time?
Yeah, they were doing that hokey fucking stupid gimmick. A lot of people speculate that it was kind of to punish Owen because of Bret, kind of like sending a message over to Bret. Like, hey, look at your brother. He's a fucking joke, isn't he? That's kind of what I heard. So let me tell you where I was whenever I heard Owen Hart died. It happened on pay-per-view, right? So it was May 23rd, 1999, a Sunday, Over the Edge pay-per-view. The next day, I went to, I guess, it being a Monday, I don't know why I didn't hear about it in school, but I didn't hear about it in school at all. I was going to baseball practice, and everybody else on the team in my little league, everybody else on the team knew that I was this big wrestling fan. And they all knew that Owen Hart was my favorite. And one of the other kids on the team, he was like kind of like a leader, like a well-respected kid on the baseball team. He pulled me off to the side, like with tears in his eyes. And he was like, I have to tell you something. And I was like, why are you crying? He was like, because I have to fucking tell you something traumatic, I think. But he was like, Owen Hart died on the wrestling pay-per-view last night.
Jeez.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. You didn't believe him.
Sure. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, twinkle, twinkle. Yeah. I was like, what, did he just lose his match? No, he's like, no, he fucking fell from the ceiling like on live pay-per-view, and died in the ring. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And I guess he felt the camera wasn't actually on. Like people weren't watching the pay-per-view at this time.
No, they weren't. And you know what? And I've came across so many fucking idiot wrestling fans that think that they know. They're like, I was watching the pay-per-view that night. I saw him plummet. I'm like, no, nobody did.
No, you didn't. And even if you were in the arena, I guess it was dark because something else was going on. So unless you were looking closely, you wouldn't have seen it in the arena either. Right?
I guess so. Yeah. Is that what you've heard?
I read that it happened with the lights. The lights were completely down because they were either showing a video or something was happening backstage or they were doing, it was playing an ad. I don't know what they were doing. I just know that the lights were dimmed in the arena.
Oh, maybe they dimmed the lights because they were showing a pre-match package, like that promo package.
Could have been that then.
Wow. So, god damn, that's scary. You're fucking up there and then you just start plummeting in the dark.
And apparently he told the referee, he was screaming to the referee to get out of the way on his way down.
Oh, God. That's insane.
Yeah, he yelled for him to move.
Yeah.
Because he would have killed that. He would have killed that referee.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. How many
Or at
feet do you
least
think?
severely
About
injured
100
him.
feet?
Yeah. Probably.
I mean, this is a stadium, guys. Like, whew.
So.
But I cannot believe that they fucking had like a normal team that they would have that they hired to do these kind of stunts and everything. And they hired a different fucking cheaper team to do this drop down that night. And they hooked them on something that could only withstand, what was it, like 10 pounds of pressure?
Yeah, it was a very small amount.
I mean, the second
they rigged him to die, essentially. I mean,
yeah. Unbelievable. So, yeah, definitely my favorite wrestler whenever I was a very small child, first getting into wrestling. And that's my list.
Very nice, man. I'm surprised. Well, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm grateful how different our lists turned out to be. I was worried that we would have a lot of repeats, and really, it was just Eddie Guerrero. Wasn't Eddie Guerrero the only repeat? Yeah,
I think so.
That's pretty crazy. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I guess so for our next list, if we ever do like a list format, we'll let each other know of who it is so we could do graphics.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Because this was fun.
It was fun not knowing, but maybe we're each responsible for creating our own graphics. So you create graphics for your top 10 and I create graphics for my top 10.
Send me the dimensions. We'll do that.
There we go. We'll do that.
So, folks, thank you once again for tuning in to another the Travis DuFour Show episode. I believe this was episode 7, season 2. Next week we will be back with more action here on the Travis DuFour Show. Keep an eye on the Instagram, on the Facebook, on the TikTok to kind of get an idea of what we're doing. Keep up with the DuFour brand. It's at the DuFour brand. Mike, did you want to plug your Instagram?
Yeah, just if you're interested in giving me a follow, I take do a lot of photography with collectibles and figures and statues and whatnot. So follow me at FigFate on Instagram, and I would appreciate it.
And folks, remember to watch this show live every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, until we put a bow on season 2 at the end of December. We are live every single Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern at the DuFour brand, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. And we will see you next week.
And we're back.
So you do need to eat your milk and drink your vitamins.
Oh, I didn't even realize that's what it said. I read it backwards. Drink your milk and eat your vitamins, but yeah, it is reversed.
Do you think that doing that deal on Randy Savage, do you think that was in bad taste?
Do you want my honest opinion?
Sure.
Probably.
Probably.
But it was funny. It was funny also. See, I think comedy is supposed to stretch the boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too.
But there's definitely people that would watch that and be like, "Wow, what a piece of shit that Travis DuFour is." Completely
Insensitive.
mocking that man's death. Because you were
Well,
just like, oh, my vision started to get blurry.
you feel like that all the time, Randy. He's like, yeah, you're right. It's probably just anxiety.
It's probably just things. God. It was funny to see.
Okay, so right here's one of the things, guys. If anybody's seen me do stand-up comedy, especially in the last month or two, I've been doing really edgy shit on stage. I have an active shooter bit that I've been doing that has been killing.
That's been killing. I bet it has been killing.
So it's just one of those things. And I was talking to my fiance the other day about this too. And I've talked about this to a couple people. At the end of the day, I need people to know who I am. I mean, and you can't, you can try to cancel me. Sure, you try. But at the end of the day, my audience and the people that I'm trying to speak to are people like me. And they're going to get this sense of humor.
That is scary as fuck.
I have, dude, I mean, Mike, you've known me over 10 years. I have a very dark sense of humor. I always have.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, though.
It is.
Personally, I don't see anything wrong with it, but you always have those people out there that it offends.
Well, this show is not for you, motherfucker.
Yeah, really. I mean, if everybody is going to get offended at something, you can't possibly avoid offending everyone.
Yeah. So did you want to do Star Wars next week?
I kind of do. It'd be nice to finish that trilogy.
Okay.
So that you can say I've watched it. Like, that's a big deal to finish that out.
Yeah, I think so. Yep. So that way we would have taken 2 weeks in between. So kind of, yeah, guys, just to shoot here for a second, we've done 3 movie reviews here on season 2. And truth be told, I'm obviously, because I've never even seen Star Wars, I am not a big movie guy. Never have been. So I don't know. I wanted to do something different this week.
The Halloween one I thought went well. I mean, we shot on the movie the whole time.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I enjoyed that one. Have you clipped anything from that movie or from that show?
Not from the actual show itself, but from the pre and after show I have. Yeah.
There's one part that I really think should be a clip where you're just saying like something about Lori getting fucked. And I'm like, oh yeah, I was like, oh yeah, she's getting railed. Like, I don't know. I thought it was funny.
And then there was the finger in the ass.
Yeah. Finger in the ass for sure.
True story.
True story.
God, that sucked. Has that ever happened to you?
All the time.
And they're just checking your prostate though, right?
That's what they say.
That's what they say every day. Something could have changed.
They're just like, listen, we just need you to bend over. We gotta check something.
So now that we're on the after show, there was something I wanted to ask you. Fuck. It was wrestling related.
Was it about the Elite coming back?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So it looks like they're going to be doing that.
Yep, looks like Kenny and the Young Cucks are coming back.
Young Bucks, take it or leave it. But Kenny Omega, I'm excited to see what he does next.
Yeah, but do you think the backstage will remain drama-free or?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, why not?
Seems like we got stuff popping up every couple of weeks. You know, we have Sammy Guevara and what was it? Eddie Kingston. Yeah. Then it was Sammy and who else?
Eddie Kingston's done this a couple times, hadn't he?
Yeah. But then we had Sammy Guevara and Andrade. Then we had
Andrade is
Elite.
definitely trying to go back to WWE.
Oh, he wants out. He's done. Isn't that crazy though? How all these guys thought AEW, the grass was greener, but Aleister Black, he wants out.
Who can blame him? Miro is going to be the next one. Miro's wife said on record this week, she was like, Tony Khan is just like Vince McMahon, just like any major promotion that you go to. They have their favorites, just like Triple H. They have their favorites. They're going to push their favorites. If you're not one of their favorites, they're not going to push you. And she was kind of alluding to Miro is not a favorite of Tony Khan.
Then why hire the dude?
What a fucking shame.
But if you don't believe in these guys, don't hire them.
Can we all agree that Miro is an exceptional talent?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
A generational
At least better than
talent.
At least better than Hornswoggle.
What?
He's better than Hornswoggle.
Yeah. In the ring. Yeah. Promo wise, I don't know.
I just don't know. My biggest thing is I need CM Punk to come back. That's what I need.
Can we please get a CM Punk Impact Wrestling run?
That's never going to happen. They couldn't afford him.
Oh, how about Japan?
I can't see it.
Do you think they have the wallet for CM Punk?
Maybe for a one-time match. I don't know about an ongoing contract.
Do you think Punk, because Punk's ego is pretty big. Do you want his last known match to be for a company that he had a pretty nasty falling out with?
Are you talking about WWE?
AEW, last match ever in his career.
Yeah, with John Moxley.
What a black eye on his career, man.
The match itself wasn't too bad. The black eye would be the media scrum and the backstage brawl.
Exactly. No, nobody's ever going to remember the match. Like 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Yeah, whenever I was a kid, my favorite wrestler was CM Punk, but his fucking career it ended like this. Do you think that he wants that?
Part of me thinks he doesn't give a fuck.
He might just not give a fuck anymore.
And that's sad because I want him to give a fuck to some degree. Like, you got to care.
Whenever he went to UFC, I think he was like, okay, I'm going to fucking own this shit. I'm going to be one of UFC's biggest draws they've ever had, just like Brock. And this is what I'm going to be known for. And it did not work out.
Do you think ever since then his confidence has been shot?
If the man didn't have a reason before to have a chip on his shoulder, he did now.
But he didn't come into AEW as if he did have a chip. I mean, the last 6 months, it seems like he has,
I think right out the gate at AEW, though, he wanted to prove to Vince, he wanted to prove to the wrestling world that he is a top guy. He is a Rocker Austin. He is a fucking top caliber, huge star.
I think he's a top guy. I just don't. I don't know. I think he thinks he's a bigger deal than he is. But that gets in the way. It's okay to think you're good. It's okay to have the confidence that you're amazing and that you're best at what you do. But his ego just takes it one step too far. Like with the locker room leader stuff where he I don't know. I feel like a locker room leader is something other people dub you as because you're such just a natural leader, not because you're going around telling people I'm the locker room leader. It's not really how that works.
Apparently, he was doing that in WWE's version of ECW.
Yeah.
Not good.
I remember Rob Van Dam just recently told a story on Renee and Dupree's podcast. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Rob Van Dam was just telling about how CM Punk walks up to him backstage. He's like, "Hey, we're doing a meeting back. I'm doing a meeting backstage. You don't. It's not about you though. If you don't want to come." or something like, and Rob Van Dam just looked at him and he's like, when did CM Punk become the locker room leader? Like
that was quick. Fuck.
Yeah, because he was out with an injury for like a couple months or something.
It is very disappointing seeing the end of CM Punk, but we're just gonna have to get ready for the next stars in wrestling. I mean, Punk could
There's
have
still hope for
absolutely.
him to come back, right? Or do you think this is the rumors of his contract being bought out? Do you think that's real?
I'm gonna throw a wild card out there. I think Punk's gonna show up in WWE again.
Really? You think that could actually? You think Triple H, after the negative shit CM Punk said, he'll bring him in?
Triple H almost died not too long ago. I think he's gonna look at what's best for business, and if Punk coming in is gonna make waves after seeing the kind of business he just did for AEW. Yeah.
I mean, I hope you're right. Selfishly, I'd love to see that.
If the numbers line up, if it looks good on paper, let's fucking try. I think that's what they're
Yeah.
going to do.
CM Punk would probably want to go over on the Tribal Chief, though.
Okay, what would be really fucking cool, though? And by the time Punk comes into WWE, I think Tribal Chief is going to be off in Hollywood somewhere. I think he's already going to be out. But what would be really cool is if MJF and Punk go to WWE at the same time.
Jeez, that'd be crazy. Possible, though. I really think MJF becomes a bigger star in WWE. That's my
You think
opinion.
so?
He has to be allowed to be himself, though. If he's not, then no.
I just don't view MJF as a WWE guy. He could be a top guy in AEW all day. In the land of the midgets, Adam Cole, baby, all day.
That's so harsh. Land of the midgets.
But not in WWE. I think that MJF would have, like, the stars would have to align. The it factor would have to really shine in MJF, and I just don't see it. He'd have to have a breakout feud, like something crazy would have, like they'd have to fucking shove MJF down people's throats. I feel like.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. He definitely does have an AEW vibe to him, but I think he could be a star there in WWE. I think it's possible.
I was trying to think of like who would be like a crazy jumping from WWE to AEW. How about Kofi Kingston?
Not a needle mover. He's one of those guys that would make a really cool debut in AEW. Probably even the first few weeks will be really cool. And then after that, it would sizzle out.
Do you think it changes anything if Kofi went to AEW and he was using that Jamaican accent?
No, I do not think it changes. It does not change anything. He's like, hey, man, this is my real voice. I've just been doing American accent all this time, man.
How about this? Sheamus to AEW.
I just don't see him moving the needle.
Well, it doesn't move the needle, but wouldn't it be cool?
No, it'd be cool, yeah. But which guy would come into AEW and make a big impact on the business?
I mean, I think I said last week Randy Orton, which that almost came true, if you remember.
I do, when he was like doing the memes and like, yeah.
That would have been cool.
He was definitely teasing it.
Man, Randy Orton in AEW, what would that fucking look like?
I'd be into it.
Up next, Randy Orton versus Sting. Do not change that channel.
Sting, jeez.
Sami Zayn, AEW.
That would be cool. I don't know. Like WWE, I feel like it's the land of mid-card guys. Like they don't have like a lot of big name stars. They have Brock Lesnar. Of course, you got Roman Reigns, Randy Orton. John Cena really isn't around anymore. I mean, who else do you have as your big top tier star? I don't even see as high as I see Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, I don't see them at Roman Reigns' level.
You know, I know it is fucking wishful thinking. It would never happen. But John Cena in AEW, I would love that.
That would be interesting. If he
Because
just
then
said,
we
"Fuck."
might have a fucking chance.
He's like, I want to bring these guys up. He would be their Hulk Hogan.
Why do you think Chris Jericho didn't work?
As AEW's Hulk Hogan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's got, I mean, Chris Jericho, one of the best for sure. There's no denying that. I'm not going to act like Chris Jericho is not great at everything he does, but I don't see him as Stone Cold, The Rock, that level. Hogan, he's definitely not that level. He might think he is. He probably does think he is, but I don't think that.
He's definitely like a Michaels, wouldn't you say?
For sure. For sure.
Like a Michaels, Eddie Guerrero. You know, he's been the champ. He's been at the top of the card, but he don't fucking stay there.
Yeah.
Even though arguably Guerrero would have stayed there.
So you think Jericho did fail then in his role?
I don't think it's his fault, but yeah.
Why do you think
partly
that?
His fault. What?
Why do you think he failed?
I think that he's a good supporting character for the main event, kind of like Triple H. You know, like Triple H has always been a B+ player. The fact that he was at the top of the card for as long as he was, I think, did damage pro wrestling.
Wow, really?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I mean,
Hot take.
Goldberg came in, had a program with Triple H that was kind of mid. Scott Steiner had that title little deal with Triple H that was mid. Triple H just fucking, you know, and they rehashed Triple H and Michaels a couple times. That was mid. Kevin Nash tried to take.
These are just crazy hot takes you're throwing out. First of all, I'd be on board with some of what you said, but Shawn Michaels and HBK, classic fucking feud.
It wasn't a fucking plummet to the ground, but it was a very steady down. It wasn't going up with Triple H as the fucking head guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, not having any competition.
He made Batista, though.
Okay. 1 out of 20 ain't bad.
He made Batista. And Batista was a huge star after that.
That was my favorite version of Batista. After that angle ended, and, you know, I was never a Batista guy again. But I was a Batista guy whenever that whole angle popped off.
Yeah.
It made me a fan of Randy Orton too. Go ahead.
When he was doing the thumbs up, thumbs down thing for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
I'm staying right here on Raw.
That worked.
You know, someone who almost made my list earlier was Paul Bearer.
Oh, that would have been a good one. Bobby Heenan almost made mine. I was trying to think of a good manager.
I was trying not to come up with too many easy ones. I wanted ones that maybe threw you for a loop a little bit. You seemed surprised. You seemed really surprised. Which one did I say? You seemed really surprised at Roddy Piper. Really surprised at Chris Benoit. But
I didn't mean to act surprised for Roddy Piper. You know, it was a good pick. You know, but like mine, Andre the Giant, easy pick. Macho Man, easy pick. Roddy Piper, easy pick.
Yeah.
But we put some uneasy ones on there. I think that's what made the list entertaining.
I think you seem surprised by Test being on there.
Test was another really good one. Yeah, I mean, that impacted fans the most. Yeah, that is surprising.
Yeah, plus he was so young.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But all good post shows must come to an end. And that's my way of saying I have to step out.
Okay. No, fantastic. Thank you once again for doing as much as you do for the show and just being here every Thursday and all that.
Yeah, for sure. I enjoyed this one. And if we end up doing that final review for the Star Wars trilogy next week, that'll be good because I'd love to finish that out and be able to actually talk about some things. Because I remember when we were reviewing Empire Strikes Back, there was a lot that I wanted to say, but I still couldn't say because you have to watch all three movies.
Yeah, and this will be nice because it'll give us 2 weeks to kind of, since we already know what we're doing, this is going to be an easier episode for us to do. This coming Tuesday, I'm trying to go and do stand-up comedy at like kind of like a more major thing for me.
That'll be cool.
And so I'm trying to get my mental headspace into really, I've been trying to write and get prepared for that. So if we have something easy for next week, so I can focus on doing stand-up comedy next week, that's important. So we'll do that.
Yeah, I like it. When you said that thing about you have a really cool, I forget how you worded it. You have a really cool mass shooter. What was it?
Oh yeah, I have. I've done a bit in the last month or two about an active shooter.
Yeah, you said something about that. You was just like, I have this really cool bit about an active shooter, a really funny bit about an active shooter. It's killer.
It's edgy.
You said it's killer though. Did you mean to? Did you know how fucking ironic and funny that is? Said together. You're just like, I have this bit about an active shooter. It's killer. Like that just.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah,
you should use that.
Well, I'm glad I said it on the podcast because all these comedians I see on podcasts, they always say that joke kills, and I think that's why I said it.
But it made so much sense with what
the
topic was. So, but all right, man. Yeah, looking forward to that, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, dude. Everybody, have a great night. Please be careful.